Today, we are diving deep into Tears of the Kingdom. We're just about a week from the game launching, and we have some thoughts in our brains still. We're going to talk about, did Nintendo do enough to market this game? We're going to talk about what needs to be in this game for it to be Game of the Year, and just any final expectations that we might have.
We're in the home stretch for this game. Nintendo's just about done everything they can do for it.
Yeah.
Or everything they're gonna do.
Right.
Is it everything they could do? We're gonna talk about that.
Don't know.
The hype is high. People seem tense. They seem on edge. We need this game to come out.
The game is leaked.
So we can move
Things
on
are
with our
happening.
lives.
Yeah, people are very much on edge. I think it's just the anticipation has just gotten so much that it's a little bit uncomfortable now.
I cry myself to sleep every night waiting for Tears of the Kingdom.
That's why they named it that. I knew it. Just cry and cry and cry. We also, because we're such in a Zelda mindset these days, we have all Zelda-themed Nintendo story times on the podcast all the way up to the launch of Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, that's just this week and next week.
All the way up to...
And next week is Zelda week.
All the way up to...
We have a whopping 2 stories that are Zelda themed coming.
Yes. All the way up to, though. But this week we will be continuing with a Zelda-themed story time. I took a massive L for this one when we worked on Link Between Worlds with Mr. Aonuma, and I still find myself sometimes descending into a bit of a shame spiral, thinking about what transpired there. But
I'm looking forward to this one.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Because I was there too, and I don't remember this that well. I remember something happened, but I was like, what was it? What happened? Well, you're going to tell us. This is the part 2 of a 3-part story, we should say.
Yeah, it's all kind of part of the
whopper.
same trip that was very memorable. It was a lot of highs and lows, and this is one of the lows. For me, not for you. But yes, it'll be fun to recount this really fun story for all of the Zelda story times leading up to launch.
Indeed.
As always, everything on this channel is made possible by our wonderful, beautiful, super smart Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us. We just had our 1UP Club meetup, which is one of our Patreon perks, and we had a great time. We've had a Zelda-themed trivia where there were prizes and winners and losers. And we also did a Zelda-themed Pictionary thing with winners and losers and just a lot of laughs, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, shout out to Gartooth and Iris Marin for winning those.
Yeah.
The trivia was tough, and it was intense. We had 25.
You wrote the
pretty
questions.
hard.
They're pretty tough.
My favorite one was, which of these is not a shrine in Breath of the Wild?
And you made
Because
up
I could
the
just make up
shrine.
some nonsense.
Mama Fusa.
It was like, Lala Tutu. It's like, it could be a shrine, I don't know.
Mama Katu.
I mean, if you've memorized all the shrine names, like, you are a better fan than I am.
Oh, or you maybe have a lot of time
Yeah.
on your hands. But that is one of our perks that we have for our Patreon community is if you're a 1UP Club tier, then you get a monthly meetup and we hang out and do cool things like that. Lots of other perks like early access to this podcast, bonus Q&As.
And we have exclusive Patreon content coming this week.
We do.
By now, we will
Yes.
have posted an extended conversation with Frank Cifaldi, who is the co-founder of the Video Game History Foundation.
That was so much fun to chat with Frank about all the work that he does there.
We had way more than we could put into that video that we just released.
Yes.
And then we have another video coming out at the end of the week, which is some of our Zelda treasures, which you can only see if you're a Patreon subscriber.
Yes. Excited about that. We love our community, and we cannot continue on doing all of the things that we do here without their support. So if you would like to join us, we're at patreon.com/Kit and Krysta.
Indeed.
Yes. Beyond that, we were just, again, so thankful and grateful for all the wonderful people that have donated to our Japan fund. The meter, once more, right here.
It's going up.
Going up. We're doing great.
The role-playing game that is our lives. The number goes up.
When do I get like an upgrade, like a heart upgrade? I would like that.
Oh, a heart upgrade.
A little heart container upgrade. More energy. More.
You gotta find it.
I gotta find it. But anyways, the Japan trip is something that we have been wanting to do for a while to get back to Japan so we can make tons of great content for you guys and tell you all of our stories when we used to work at Nintendo and had a lot of different trips to the headquarters in Kyoto and lots of memories that we can share with you there and some of our special spots in Kyoto that we love to go to again and share those with you. So if you'd like to donate to our Japan fund, go ahead and leave a super thanks. And you can do that right on YouTube.
Yes, that's something you can do directly in YouTube. Choose how much you would like to give. Any amount is extremely welcome. So thank you very much for that.
Exactly. All right, so you were just talking about this, but we did a really great trip to the, I always get this wrong, Video Game History Foundation. I always get the name
Every
wrong.
time you call it something different.
I call it something different. I'm sorry, Frank. But we went there because you were donating your collection of Gizmondo.
Yeah.
Which is weird and strange.
It's not mine anymore.
It's not yours anymore.
No.
It belongs to Video Game History now. But all of those great videos, we saw lots of comments on like, oh my gosh, this is such a weird part of video game history to our Gizmondo unboxing video that's already on the channel. Glad that you guys are as baffled as we are at the Gizmondo, but it's one of those things where it's like, yes, this belongs
in a museum.
In a museum, and but it needs to be cataloged.
It was literally like the end of Indiana Jones, where he just carts it down.
Yeah,
the aisles and aisles of the Video Game
archives.
History Foundation. Here we go.
Yeah, they have many, many, many things
this
in storage.
unholy device. Put it away. Lock it away.
File it under G for Gizmondo. But yes, we have that, and then we also have our vlog up. If you wanted to see us just kind of poke around all of the wonderful treasures they have at the Video Game History Foundation.
So
it's
much
really
stuff
amazing.
you'll never see anywhere else.
Yeah, I was really just fascinated by all of the stuff that they have there, and a lot of like really cool Nintendo history that we were discovering there, things that I've never seen before, and it was really cool to just get Frank's perspective on preservation and all that stuff. So very fun. We had a great time. Thank you again to Frank and the team for hosting us.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We also, on a video we have out now on our channel, we got to play Street Fighter 6.
Oh man, that was so fun. So we got invited to a preview event at Capcom, to their office to play Street Fighter 6. And we had only played like a teensy bit of that game like a year ago at Summer Game Fest. So this was like
less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5, literally teensy.
Yeah.
And we just got like to sit down and just play for like pretty much
basically all day long.
Yeah. And we checked out all the different modes. We looked at all the different, starter fighters and the stages. I love that World Tour mode, which is like single player campaign mode kind of that they have. We have a full video on that.
Yes, and we're going to talk about what we are playing. But that video is out now.
That was such a great time, and thank you so much to Capcom for inviting us. And we got to reunite with some of our old fighting game friends.
We did.
Yeah, it was really nice.
As I mentioned as well, next week is Zelda week, so every day of that week we will have something Zelda themed. We're starting it up Monday. We are wrapping up our tier list program with Link. All of the links.
All of the links. We're gonna rank it.
Some of them there were a lot of Zeldas. There's even more links.
Some of them are not.
I'm just gonna give a little hint at something I'm thinking about for that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Links where he's not really wearing pants.
He's pantsless.
And it's very vague. As I've been studying a lot of this artwork of like, is he wearing?
Tights?
Is this like a kilt, like a traditional kilt where you wear nothing?
Ooh.
Like what exactly is happening?
That seems really dangerous.
Which may be, and there's like artwork of him like jumping off a thing, and it's like just a light shadow of like what's happening?
I don't know if you would want to be in a kilt situation in like a fire dungeon. That doesn't seem right. That seems like it'd be really dangerous.
It's like half the games. It's just like this vague like pantsless child running around.
The
like
dongos are gonna get you.
And then eventually got some pants and some tights or something.
There's
it's
some
like
tights.
okay, but
then he does very clearly wear pants.
Just a very vague thought
khakis.
I have going into this.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No, it's fair because if you're
choices made.
Jumping and running and climbing around, you probably want to
doing shoulder rolls, high stepping through grass.
You got like lots of really scary terrain as well. Things that could really hurt you. You probably want to wear pants. Just saying. I don't know.
Right. But we got a lot of other fun stuff. We are saying goodbye to Breath of the Wild with some of our favorite locations in that game.
That's so. It's gonna be like emotional.
We are going back through some of the best music from the Zelda series.
My favorite thing is about the music, so I can't wait to do this video.
And we're capping it off with a stream of Tears of the Kingdom, which will be out on Friday.
Whew. Can't believe it, you guys.
Week.
It's going to be so much fun. I think it's going to be really exciting to just do all of that and give sort of Tears of the Kingdom a proper welcome, and also, yes, look back on the series as a whole, and then say a proper goodbye as well to Breath of the Wild.
That's right.
It'll be great. We have something very exciting, which is we extended the pre-orders for the official Kit and Krysta controller by 1 week.
Because we finally got one.
We wanted to have it.
I'd never actually seen this thing in person.
Yeah,
it's
this
incredible.
is like your first time seeing it. Doesn't it feel so good in the hand?
It does. So we wanted to do a proper video of us looking at it and showing it off. And there's also some other stuff that we are revealing for the first time, like the pin that comes with it, which is amazing.
The box,
the great packaging,
very special. Like all of it is very like detailed and really like lovingly crafted and designed by Captain Alex.
Right.
So we wanted to show you guys all that stuff first.
Yeah, so we worked with Captain Alex to give you all one more week. This video, if it's not out now, will be out very soon.
Yes.
So that new pre-order end is on May 7th. So exactly 1 week we have added on to that.
Yes, exactly.
And that's at kitandkrystacontroller.com.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Guess what? This episode is sponsored by ExpressVPN.
Ooh!
I love this analogy they've given here. When you go to the bathroom, you close the door behind you.
Right?
Don't you?
Right?
Do you?
Right?
I don't know. I don't like that look in your eye. You wouldn't let just random people take a peep into what you're doing in the loo.
Oh, the loo.
But a lot of people do that when they're online. That's why I use ExpressVPN. None of that funny business happening. Yeah.
We always make a joke that we do a lot of Bodhi research.
What's the joke? It's true.
Okay, we try to joke around, but it's a fact that we do a lot of Bodhi research. And we were playing Street Fighter.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Bodhi contenders there, and you bet your beak that I was looking at some Street Fighter 6 Bodhi with an ExpressVPN for privacy. It is encrypted. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, so your online activity, like the Bodhi research, cannot be seen by anyone.
Right, even though, Chrome might have incognito mode, they're still finding ways to sell your data. That's the whole point of this business. It's not exactly everything that they are saying it to be.
Right.
So that's where ExpressVPN comes in. Super easy to use, works on phone, laptops, even routers. Very easy, we recommend it. So you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN free by going to expressvpn.com/kitandkrysta. That's expressvpn.com/kitandkrysta for 3 extra months free. expressvpn.com/kitandkrysta.
Yes, we'll put the link right over here and also in the description below. Protect yourself on the internet, please.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get into this story.
My big L.
I don't remember this super well.
So big. So embarrassing.
So let's pick up where we left off.
Yes.
So this was around the ramp up to the launch to A Link Between Worlds.
Right.
We were in New York, you and I, with Mr. Aonuma.
This is the same trip where he ate the dirty New York hot dog, which was in a previous Nintendo Storytime in a podcast I will link in the description if you missed that.
And we were there because we were doing a big live panel at New York Comic-Con.
Right, exactly. So we were all in New York. We've been in New York. It was sort of the big sort of launch thing for A Link Between Worlds. Obviously, we spent many days at that point with Mr. Aonuma doing all sorts of interviews. And the panel was sort of later in the week. It was like on like a Thursday or something like that at New York Comic-Con. It was actually one of the first panels, I think, that a Nintendo developer participated in. We hadn't done a lot of those before in the past, so it was definitely like a trust exercise, I would say, for him to participate in something like this.
And since then, there have not really been many to speak of either. I remember the year before we did Mr. Kamiya at PAX.
Right, but he was like not in inside.
Exactly.
Exactly. Mr. Aonuma. It's a little bit different.
And then later we did a couple for
the
Dragon Quest, Bravely Default.
Bravely Default.
But yeah, it's rare to get an actual Nintendo developer, especially of his caliber.
Yeah. But he's very open, to being out there, and he's a great speaker. So we put together this great panel. And in the panel, we talk a lot about what's new for A Link Between Worlds. And one of the super unique things was this idea of like high rule and low rule. And there was, tons of different characters for the low rule kingdom. So that was sort of the big focus of that panel. And I think you played some of the game as well. You're always the designated like person that plays. I hosted the panel, you played the game. Is that what it was that time?
Right. So you were very nervous about hosting this panel.
Like it, yeah.
Like you were really like sweating this.
I was.
And you asked me to do it because I had hosted the Wonderful 101 panel the year before.
I was too scared
you know how to do this.
One.
I can't do this. I was like, this isn't my thing. You get to do it.
Yeah,
but
you refused to allow me.
I was needed to play the game because we had a live demo of the game. And sometimes they would send like somebody from the treehouse to do it. In this case, like they just didn't. I think they were like, you guys can figure it out.
Yeah.
So
we just had the translator.
Right.
And Mr. Aonuma, obviously, he had like
his handler.
One PR person that was his handler. With
right.
So it was like actually, in terms of like developers coming over, kind of a small group.
Totally was. Yeah.
And the two of us. Mm-hmm. And we also did have like some video people with us to help us film the panel. Mm-hmm. So it was a very like tight-knit kind of group. So I hosted it. Mr. Aonuma did obviously all of the speaking, and then we had the one translator. Mm-hmm. And we put together these beautiful, I put together these really nice slides showing all
You're very good at that.
Work. I am good at the slides. And it looks really good. Like everything looks great. The slides look great. There's a video. I probably will just put in some clips here so you can see what that panel looked like. Mr. Aonuma had a great time as well because he was just floored by the amount of Zelda fans that were in the audience. And there's a great picture of him at the end of the panel where he was like in the front row and everyone kind of gathered around him in all of their Zelda cosplay. And he was just like super excited. He was like, oh my gosh, you're dressed up as like so-and-so from this game. And like the creativity of the people dressed up, he was like, just like really impressed by.
So that's always the dicey thing about these panels.
Yeah.
When you have somebody who's like super like A-lister.
Yeah.
Which is, how do you get out? You know?
Yeah.
Because it's over and the people just converge on the front because it's like, oh, take a picture, sign this stuff. And it's like, he's super good natured about it. So he was glad to do it. But at some point you need to go.
Yeah.
And at some point, like they need to get the next panel to come in and get started and set up. And every time we always ask like the organizers, like, so what's the easiest? Like, do you have some back door or something?
Yeah, some
like,
sort of like
no,
secret passageway.
No.
Yeah, it's never like,
just go.
They never think about that,
right.
At Comic-Con, I think they're a little bit better, like the San Diego one.
Oh yeah,
because they have that like celebrity,
mega Hollywood people,
like the Marvel people,
right?
That need to
if you're not in that room, it might be dicey as well. Yeah.
So he has the panel goes really well. Everyone does exactly what they're supposed to do. You did a great job playing the game. Everything looks fantastic.
I had a moment of triumph playing that game.
You did?
Well,
do you remember?
I was a little nervous about it because in our office, we didn't just have the game floating around.
Right, it was still pre-launch.
Right, so we had somebody, bring the game to us. I got it in New York, and I got to see, like, okay, here's the demo flow, here's what you're supposed to do. I got to do that like 1 or 2 times.
Right.
And you've seen me play games. Like, I'm very forgetful when it comes to like a lot of the details.
Zelda game too.
Right. So I was kind of sweating it. I'm like, am I going to remember where to go? Like, what to do? Like, it wasn't very complex, but I was just a little bit worried.
Yeah.
And I had a great moment where I ran through this like thicket of grass, and the crowd just went wild. I was like, yes, this is my moment.
I'm number 1.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Aonuma was like very impressed as well. I think he said to you afterwards, he was like, oh, good job. Like
I was the super player for a day.
You were a super player for a day. Beautiful gameplay.
That's right. You. It was.
So we come off of that really high. We get out, we like go to dinner. I think we went to like a really good like Spanish tapas dinner that night. Yeah. We really just were letting loose, drinking wine, having a good time. And everything's great. And the next morning, we get up, we meet, and I'm standing in the lobby, and Mr. Aonuma's like, hey, did you release this artwork online? And it was artwork from the panel that we had pulled some screenshots for that we put on the Nintendo of America Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
It was like sort of like we were like live tweeting the panel.
Yeah.
And the artwork was getting picked up. There was like a lot of articles like first time, new artwork revealed for Link Between Worlds. Something happened though. It was a picture of an illustration, an official illustration that I got from our design team of Hilda, which is the Princess of Lorule. In the illustration, and the one that we used in the panel, she's holding a staff, and very distinctly is on top of the staff is a floating upside down Triforce.
Yes.
But for some reason, the artwork that I released onto the Nintendo of America Twitter, like the one that got picked up by all the media, it was like missing the upside down Triforce.
Why'd you do it?
I don't know what happened. I honestly don't know.
Was it like a cropping where like
no, because it would have. I last night when I was prepping for this podcast, I was looking back at I was like looking at the images again. My thinking is that I received maybe a layered file.
Oh, and that was a layer.
Design team, and when I exported it, potentially I accidentally unchecked that layer.
And you'd never seen this before, so you wouldn't have a clue of like, is this right? Is this wrong? I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I was working on the Comic-Con presentation, which had the right artwork, though.
Right.
So it really kind of was like a... And you know me, I do have a problem with, like, attention to detail sometimes. And you always... Like, sometimes you're like, you're my grammar police. Even now, you'll, like, find
I'm
things.
basically your dictionary.
You're basically, like, my spell check.
Typo.
Grammar check, or, like, extra space here, Like, when you look at the edits, like, you're very eagle-eyed. So I do have this. This is something I should definitely keep. I definitely struggle with, and I keep working on. But it was bad. Like, it got picked up everywhere. So the wrong artwork was just, like, out there. And he called me out on it. And I remember, like, just this, like, wave of, like, panic.
Yeah,
like,
because he must have gone back and gotten some phone call from somebody on the dev team of, like,
probably, or somebody from the art team.
Yeah, what's
like,
this? What happened? What's the wrong one?
Yeah, this is the wrong one. I think we pulled it down from the Nintendo of America Twitter.
Right.
It was, like, really too late, though, because it had been, like, a whole night and day. A whole night had passed. And it's out there, Even today, even, like, one day ago, in 2023,
was that version still floating around?
I Googled Hilda Link Between Worlds, and the first thing that popped up was the wrong one. I was like, oh my God.
And that game failed because of your indiscretions.
I took an L.
Come on.
He wasn't, like, mad.
He wasn't that mad.
He really wasn't that mad. He was
very understanding about it.
He was very understanding. He was just like, oh, what happened? He was more so like, how could this have happened? Like, how, like, perplexed more so, like, not as, like, how could you have done this? Like, you've really messed up, but more so like, oh, that's a weird thing to have happened, because it is like it's impossible to crop it out, so it's not cropping. So it must have been like a weird, glitchy, missing layer export issue or something.
Maybe that's just what you got. Maybe you weren't the one who messed up.
I don't know.
I'm coming to your defense 10 years later.
I don't know. Sorry, Mr. Aonuma. I'm really bad.
Still just wake up in a cold sweat.
I do wake up in a cold sweat.
He's going to throw me in the Hudson River with the cement shoes.
He's going to make me eat 100 dirty hot dogs. I can't do it. No, but he was not mad. But it was just, like, unfortunate to have everything that it was going so well. We were just kind of on a high, and it was just a bit of a damper. And
hear from the guy in person that you messed up.
Yeah, that's not great. It really is not.
What happened?
Yeah, no, that was what it was.
Well,
exactly what it was. What happened, and then well.
Meanwhile, I'm just standing there looking. Not what I would have done. So I'm like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. No, I mean, we kind of got over it pretty fast and moved on with the day. We had more stuff to do.
We did.
That day, which will be in a phone.
Part 3 next week.
Part 3.
Yes.
Which was really fun. And he was not, like, angry, or he didn't, like, tell on me or something, like, didn't tell my boss, like, she really messed up or whatever.
Your boss was right there.
Well,
what do you mean?
No, okay?
You could tell my boss, standing right there.
Look what she did. No, but he was very understanding, which I appreciated. Like, he didn't have like, some sort of, like, explosive
grudge now.
Yeah, like,
can't be trusted.
She can't be trusted. Right. That is a really big deal, though, and that it is something that is really scary at Nintendo is like we talk about it all the time, and it's like a very sort of like a company mantra where it's like your relationship with these developers, with these people, with the executives, with the leadership team is very valuable. Like, don't ever mess up ever, because you'll break that trust, and all the years of work that you've done to cultivate that relationship will be completely over. It will be wasted. So it was a lot of pressure, like to be basically perfect all the time, which is actually impossible because you're a human.
It's fine for me.
So, I think it's hard, but maybe not so hard for other people. So yeah, it was a lot of pressure. You know, you really do kind of, sometimes you feel like you're walking on eggshells a little bit. Oh man, like I hope I don't mess this up because it's over for me then, you know? But that was my, I've definitely messed up more times, but that was a pretty embarrassing moment for me. And yeah, not a great part of the trip, but we recovered.
Within like an hour, we had all moved on, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was literally like within like 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
So it was fine, but it was also like, darn, like I wish we didn't have like that incident to like mark the like a pretty much like perfect trip, right? So I will never forget the upside down Triforce on Hilda's staff ever again. I'm very eagle-eyed now when I look at it. I'm like, that's not right. But yes, maybe you guys have seen that piece of artwork that was incorrect, maybe not. But that was not a good day for me.
Well, let's get away from this trauma, this repressed trauma, and talk about our Never a Minute segment. Last week, we ranked our top 5 Zelda games, which was a source of widespread debate. Some parts of that list may live in infamy, a lot of disagreements. So we decided to do 5 through 10 today. We're going to continue.
We're going to continue, but when we get to like 8, 9, 10, I hope people don't get mad because
this isn't even the bottom. I mean, there's more than 10 Zelda games.
That's true.
So we're not. This is like kind of the middle of the pack.
Oh, that's very tricky.
You seem nervous.
I'm already nervous. I feel like people are going to come at us.
Well, so let's start by recapping our 1 through 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, let me.
You just read your top 5. I'll read mine while you pull it up.
Paper, yeah.
My top 5, starting with 1, Breath of the Wild. 2, Wind Waker. 3, A Link to the Past. 4, Skyward Sword. And 5, A Link Between Worlds. Those are my top 5.
Okay.
You have lost your list.
I've lost my list.
Oh, dear.
I think I remember it. 1, are you starting with 5?
In whatever way you'd like to do it.
1, Breath of the Wild. 2, Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
3, Skyward Sword.
4,
Wind Waker. 5, Ocarina of Time.
Close call. Well, you better keep looking for this list. I'm going to go with mine while you look for that, okay?
That's okay. You can go.
I'm going to go from 6 to 10. We're just going to keep going with my list now. So my number 6, I talked about this last week being very tough decision between 5 and 6, which was ultimately A Link Between Worlds, is Link's Awakening.
Oh.
So I played this game originally on the Game Boy. Obviously, I played it on the Switch many years later when it came back. And it's a great game. You know, when I played it on the Game Boy, I thought like, wow, this is a higher quality experience than I was really used to on the Game Boy. It felt very much just like, wow, they somehow found a way to port like an SNES game to the Game Boy. I can't believe this. And it really just felt like a continuation of A Link to the Past. So really enjoyed that version. And then on the Switch version, I finally finished the game and got to experience it in all of its glory.
The Switch version is really, really good.
That's a great game, a great version. I did find a couple of the puzzles to be a little, you found this in older games where it's like, how was I supposed to know to do this?
Yeah.
But, I mean...
You have to look it up.
Guides exist. I'm not ashamed to use them. But, yeah, that's a very high-level Zelda game that I'm glad has been sort of revitalized.
Yes. I can't find my list, but I think I remember it.
Okay.
Number 5.
6.
Number 6.
Yes.
A Link Between Worlds. This is the one, I think I said this last week, that this one just missed my top 5 because of the shuffling of Breath of the Wild. It was in my top 5 for a really long time.
Yeah.
Because I do really love A Link Between Worlds. And for a lot of the reasons you said, it's like very cool to be able to explore the dungeons like in any order, and I actually really love that like chalk wall mechanic.
Yes.
And I want that to come back. So we won't talk about it too much because we've been talking about it, but that was my number 6.
Okay. Number 7. Some people were aghast that I did not have this in my top 5.
I know! You never told me this, that you did not have Ocarina of Time in your top 5.
No, but it is Ocarina of Time. Stop looking at my list.
I'm sorry.
You don't have a list and you're looking at mine? How does that work? It's Ocarina of Time. You do have to give it the props for, in the moment, this was an absolutely revolutionary game.
Yeah.
Very much the equivalent of Mario 64 of, hey, look at how we have perfectly adapted this 2D game into 3D, and in doing so, just established all these things about 3D action-adventure games that people will just continue to do until, like, today. Like, Z targeting. Wow. What an amazing idea that we still use. I do find it is tough to go back to this game today. It feels very straightforward in ways that I find other Zelda games are not, even some of the older Zelda games. So that's why I have it a little bit lower. It's like if I was to go back and replay some of these games, it wouldn't be at the top of my list. But
you didn't like the 3D remake of it? I thought that was really good.
No, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. It's.
You can aim like with the.
No, it had all sorts of. It was a great update to that game.
It's a really good update.
Some really nice additions.
Yeah.
But just saying again, if I just had my pick of Zelda games to replay, I'd be number 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My number 7 is Link's Awakening. I actually also kind of did what you did, where I played the first version of it, but I never finished it.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish it until recently on Switch. And a lot of people say that this is the one that's like very philosophical, like it has like all these weird like other meanings. Do you buy that, or do you think or have you not thought deeply about it?
I think it could.
Yeah.
But if I find that, a lot of Zelda games also have some of those elements too.
That's true. But this one, I think people have a lot of theories, I guess, about like what it actually means.
You're asking the wrong guy, honestly, about this stuff.
Everything is like a dream sequence.
Right.
The dream sequence is always thrown me for a
That's an interesting idea.
It is a really interesting idea, and I think I like this game a lot because it feels very contained to just this moment in time, or a dream in time, or something.
If we're talking about
storytelling
mechanics, I will say I'm not the biggest fan of time travel.
So that's why Ocarina of Time is not your jam.
A mark maybe against Ocarina. I don't find Ocarina of Time does it in a way that bothers me, but it's just not my favorite. The dream sequence though, I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
What could have been?
I do like that one.
Wiped away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a very like what if scenario, and I like the way that that's done because it feels like it can stand on its own without having a connection with any of the other games in the Zelda series. And that's the one. Don't say that you tricked me because you didn't. But there is no Zelda. It's like Marin or whatever. You didn't trick me.
Or whatever.
It's like Marin or whatever.
Yeah, which one? Is it Marin or is it whatever?
It's Marin or whatever. But there are some very good, very sweet moments in that game still. And they do a really good job with some of the cool little like Mario references.
Those are
and
great.
Stuff. I think that's really inventive.
And also the sequences which are basically, not top-down 2D, but like Mario-style 2D.
Yes.
Because Link can jump.
Right.
I really like those.
It's really clever how it just felt like a kind of a game where it's like, just have fun with it. Let's just have fun with this one,
Right.
Let's not try to like squeeze ourselves into these conventions.
I'm sure that's. I mean, it's a Game Boy game. We're not on the big boy system. Like
we can have a little
kind of loosen
breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
You can feel it when you play this game, which I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, number 8. I should probably put an asterisk by this one.
Oh no.
Because we only recently started playing this game. And by your decree, we can only play this game on live stream, so I've not finished it. But I'd put the Minish Cap at number 8.
Oh, so cute.
This game has a lot going for it, again, based on some pretty limited playtime by me, but I was very impressed with what I played so far. It's just an excellent take on a top-down Zelda.
Yeah.
The sort of shrinking, resizing
I think
Link
that mechanic is really interesting.
has a lot of potential. And this one was made by Capcom. You can just tell it's got the high, almost Nintendo-esque degree
Yeah.
polish to it. So again, I reserve the right to shift this around. I mean,
Yeah.
if once I actually finish this, I've heard a lot of the later puzzles get very tricky. So we'll see how that flies
You
with me.
got a guide. It's me.
Yes.
It's okay. Yeah, this game charmed me for sure. Like I just was really surprised by it, and it's one of the few Zelda games that you and I have never played before.
Yeah.
So it was fun to like experience it almost like fresh and stuff. And yeah, it definitely like as soon as we kind of jumped into that game, I was really like, I just couldn't help myself like saying oh to like everything. Everything was very cute. So
Yeah.
that's a good one. But I think I would need to play way more of that game to
Okay.
put it on my list.
Yeah.
But my number 8 is A Link to the Past, which again, some people might come at me for, but I will say that I'm just because I played Ocarina of Time as my first Zelda game.
Correct.
This 2D top-down stuff, it just takes me a little bit to get used to it, and I found this game to be really, really just amazing, but tough, hard
Yeah.
for me. But yeah, I really liked it for some of the same reasons you liked it. Like, it's really cool to have just like all of these different gadgets. Like, you kind of felt like Batman, like without your utilities and stuff. And it does kind of set up the Link that we know today, like a very capable hero that has like all of these things to like problem solve through dungeons and through the world. And I really liked kind of almost going back in time and playing that game after I had played through more modern Zelda games and like understanding the origins of what Link used to be, you know? So yeah.
Okay. Number 9, I'm actually surprised I had this where I did.
Oh.
As being a noted hater of this game.
Maybe I did something to you.
I would have thought this actually would have been lower, but I put Twilight Princess here.
Coming around?
There's a lot that I have issues with this game, but there's still a lot to like. I do like very much the Wii combat system, which is more waggle than Skyward Sword, thank you very much. But still, there's a lot you can do with it, and that is one of my criticisms, is it's a pretty complex battle system, but the enemies that they give you don't really let you
Take advantage
of that or have these complex, challenging battles.
Okay.
The game overall felt pretty easy and pretty straightforward in that sense. It is a very nice to look at game.
Yeah.
As we've been doing our tier lists of all the characters, the Twilight Princess versions of all these characters come out really high.
Yeah.
And those are very iconic versions. I was not one of these people who was dying for the dark and gritty Zelda game.
Okay.
But I do like this. I'm glad that you have things like Wind Waker to balance it out. But this is just really well done. It has the open world. You can see they're trying to take steps towards more of an open world, but there's just not much to do there. You're just kind of riding the horse.
But it's supposed to be lonely. It's supposed to evoke a sense of loneliness.
All right.
Like they say, the loneliest time
Evoked a
is
sense
Twilight.
of boredom in me, but
You don't have the emotional capacity for this game, is my conclusion.
the dungeons, I can admire the dungeons for being very intricate, but they are too hard for me.
Okay, it's fair.
Yeah, so that's why I have this kind of lower middle, I guess, is where this ultimately lands, if you're looking at every Zelda game.
Yeah.
So I just have a lot of mixed feelings about it.
Yeah. Number 9 for me is the original Legend of Zelda.
Oh, wow.
I know. Please, everyone be generous.
Well, I don't have that on mine.
Oh, okay.
I don't think a lot of people, like, unless you were, like, truly in that moment, would have that.
It's really hard for me to go back and play that game.
Yeah.
Really hard. I've tried multiple times because I'm like, I'm a huge, Zelda fan. Like I tell everyone that it's my favorite video game series, but I've yet to finish the first game in the series. Like, that feels a little shameful, but I just can't get through it.
Well, it's really hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Even with, like, the save states on the NSL, like the...
Right.
The on Switch, like I can't do it. Like it's so hard.
And you also talk about, I mentioned for Link's Awakening, some of those solutions. It's like, how would I ever know?
How would I ever know?
In this game, it's like, burn this one bush out of 100
exactly
to get the thing. Like,
exactly. So you just have to. Basically, you're playing like this really janky way where you're reading a guide line by line, going through the game and saving every like 4 seconds, like 30 seconds or something.
Yeah.
so that you don't lose your progress completely.
Right.
And it's just not a fun...
Sorry this isn't a lazy day in 1987 where I can just burn every bush and figure it out.
I'm not like a 7-year-old with like 0 responsibilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's too tough for me to just like get into it now. And I feel bad because it's like, oh man, I wish I played it back then. If I played it back then, maybe I would really love it. I don't know. I just feel like it's somehow like a missed timeline thing for me almost, you know?
I do still find it to be very playable though. Like there's older games where you go back to it, it's like, I can't control this.
No, controlling it is not a problem.
No,
it's not the game. It's me because it's hard for me.
Right. So it's not that kind of an old game.
Yeah.
But it is just punishingly hard.
Yeah, it's kind of like Final Fantasy 1.
Relies on a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you can see where they were. I mean, it totally was the blueprint for all these other games. So got to give it some props there.
Exactly.
So that was your number 9?
Yes, it was.
My number 10.
Oh,
this
I'm
is
scared.
This is probably going to be controversial. Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, which when I see people doing tier lists, they usually have it at or near the bottom. I mean, number 10 is not super high, but I have to give this game props for doing something completely different in a Zelda game of being, you know, a 2D, like a full-on 2D game, taking, you know, what was in Zelda 1 and translating it into a 2D game. This game is probably even more punishing than Zelda 1. I've never finished this game. I probably never will. But I always...
Game over Ganon screen freaked you out?
Terrifying return of Ganon screen, which as a child gave me nightmares, like
scary.
Literal nightmares.
Red eyes, all freaky. Yeah.
It's like the flashing screen. Like you probably couldn't do that today.
You need like an epilepsy warning or something.
Yeah, this is going to send somebody to the doctor.
Do that.
I'm just like in a dark room, like crying as the return of Ganon for the 9,000th time
because you fail so much too because it's so hard.
I lost to a dark nut or something. Those knights, those normal encounters with those knights where they do the underhanded sword. Nobody actually does this in a sword fight.
It's so cheap.
But you have to be so precise in managing, like, your blocking and your attack. You have, like, such a small window to actually get an attack in.
Poking.
Yeah. Stabbing and underhanding is not probably the best sword technique you could do, but whatever. And it's definitely got a vibe to it that's so different. Like, if this is... I would love for them to do a proper, like a Link's Awakening version of this.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And maybe make it a little less hard.
Or give us like some sort of
an easy mode or something.
Settings, yeah.
That could be really eye-opening for a lot of people.
Yeah, they should do that.
So this is not a game that again, if I was picking them out of a pile, I would not go straight to this one. But I do think about this game a fair amount.
Okay, all right.
So that's my 10. That's your 10. Not in the 10. Majora's Mask. Sorry, people.
Majora's Mask is number 10 for me.
Oh!
Yeah, speaking of which, your point about a game that you don't gravitate towards and it doesn't click with you, but you do think about, that's Majora's Mask. I've definitely tried to play that game. You and I both have tried.
We've both finished this game, we should say.
We've finished this game. We've played it multiple times, too. I've tried to finish it. I've definitely finished it once. I've tried to finish it again just to see, like, maybe I'm really missing something here. It's like, watch that movie again to see, like, if there's a reason why you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, there are definitely things that just flat out does not click with me with a game like that, which is the time stuff. Obviously, the ticking down of the time is really stressful. I don't really love that. But I do understand, like, some of the unique things about this game that make people really love it. Like, there are those, like, very kind of... like weird stories or even heartfelt stories of like the town that's going to be basically like exploded by the giant moon. And there are like really sort of interesting things that they do in that game that's different than any other Zelda game. So I get that, that part of it feels new and different and unique, and I can see why people like that. I think the music actually in the game is actually pretty good too. Like it definitely has like a very distinctive quality where you hear it and you know exactly where it's from. They have some, unique and weird characters. They definitely don't shy away from just taking it in, again, like a whole new direction, which I think is great because it's so easy to just like make another straightforward Zelda game. Why not?
Well, it'd be so hard for them to do something like this now because it's just the expectation is like every game now is bigger and better than the last one.
Right.
And this game was not trying to be bigger and better. It's
That's
trying
right.
to be it's trying to be different.
It's trying to be different. Yeah.
And just when you get into the world of, mega franchises like Zelda, I just don't think that flies these days unless you're saying like we're making a small game, it's download only, it's going to be $10.
Yeah. But like the resourcing around that is probably like really tough.
Yeah, and the
nowadays.
expectations around that are weird, especially since, it takes them so long to make. I mean, they made this game in like a year. And that was one of the reasons why I did not get it originally on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Was there's something fishy about this. They always take so long to make these games, and now they've cranked this game out so fast. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
So.
It definitely wasn't, it wasn't bigger, it was different.
Yeah.
But the differences can be interesting.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't click with the way I like to play Zelda games, but I see the appeal, and I do think about this game sometimes, and I'm like, I think about the characters, and I think about like the weird like storylines and stuff like that, and it's like it's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, that is the 5 through 10.
Wow, good for you for forgetting your list, but still remembering it.
Yeah.
Next week, are we going all the way to the bottom?
What's the bottom?
All the way.
All the way?
All the way.
Just go all the way?
Yeah, I mean we've done 1 through 10 so far.
But next week's not Zelda week, right?
It is Zelda week. What are you talking about? You're a mess today.
I really don't want Zelda week to be like a low note, though. You know what I mean? Like,
all right.
I don't want to be negative. Fine. So we'll have to think about it.
We really messed up the way we're doing this. We could have ended with number 1.
I know. We should have done from the bottom up, huh? Oops. Oh well.
All right. Well, guess what? We're going to keep talking about Zelda in our poll. We asked our Patreon subscribers. Here's the question. With less than 2 weeks to go until release, we'll probably seen most of what the marketing campaign for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has to offer. Based on what you've seen, do you feel Nintendo did everything they could marketing-wise to make the game a hit? So let's go through the results. 57% of people said the game sells itself, so it doesn't matter.
Wow.
26% said they could have done more to support the game. 15% said it was a major campaign appropriate for one of Nintendo's biggest games. And a mere 2% said, I'm holding out for more surprises in the few days we have left. Shout out to that 2% of people.
Well, you can look at the leaks.
To the bitter. Oh.
It's not really marketing, but it is out there.
It's something. It's a surprise. Something. Yeah. I mean, that's been the ongoing debate around this game.
Yeah.
Is
how much is too much? What is enough? Do you need to do anything at all? That's the debate.
Right. Where would you put yourself on this?
I would put myself in the 15.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. 26. Sorry, 26%.
Where they could have done more.
Could have done more.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have to, but I think to really solidify this game as the game for them in 2023, a game worthy of Game of the Year, a game that potentially could be the last big game for Nintendo Switch, I would have taken this opportunity to really push.
Yeah.
But you don't have to, because I agree also that the game does sort of sell itself, so it's probably fine.
It feels like they have been playing defense when you could have been playing offense. They were like, we are protecting the secrets of this game.
Sure.
We're only going so far in telling you about it. And I'm not saying they had to reveal everything about the game, but I just came up with a list of things that they could have done that they have not done, which would not require them to reveal more information.
Yeah.
I think that was something I saw in some of the responses to this, which is, or to clarify, marketing is not strictly revealing information.
That's right. Yeah, marketing is just getting people talking about the game, and you can do that in so many different ways.
Using all the channels at your disposal and getting the right messages out through those to the right people.
Right time.
Right.
Yeah.
So think of like a big marketing channel is like retailers. Like you go to a lot of stores, it's like this game is plastered everywhere.
Yeah. The visuals for this game are really beautiful. So they, could have had a big opportunity to do a lot more with the visuals and like using the game artwork in more ways.
Or like, when the Mario movie was coming out, that thing was everywhere. And they weren't revealing more. It was just everywhere you looked. Like, oh, I see this. I know about this. I know it's coming out.
Yeah, it's like really in your face.
I'm going to talk to, I'm going to have a conversation with this person about this because I saw this crazy thing in Times Square.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I think that's the one thing that is lacking is like, clearly you don't need to sell the game to an established Zelda fan or a Nintendo Switch owner.
Right.
But you could have used this as a way to like expand your user base, your audience base.
Right.
Because it is such a sort of a huge moment for the company. And I think if you did more in that realm, like more marketing to reach that more expanded audience, not only could you have sold them Tears of the Kingdom, but you could have sold them hardware and Breath of the Wild. So it would have been like, you know, more lucrative that way. But yeah.
I'm curious to see what they do in these 2 weeks now, because this is really the, you know, turn up the crank on like the advertising.
Yeah, I've seen some ads already.
Yeah, they've done a good job. Have you seen the ad that the sort of main ad?
Yeah, I've seen it.
What do you think of that?
It's very boring. Sorry, not to be mean, but it's so like formulaic now for Nintendo to do ads like this. Like it's literally like, why do you even bother having a creative team when your ad is every single time is let's show somebody in a family
In a laundromat
playing this game on the go, and
Yeah.
then show some gameplay footage and then end with an end card that says buy now. Like, I mean, I can write that out
Right,
for you in
right.
5 minutes.
So here's some things they could have done, but they did not. Ask the developer. The new, in the lineage of Iwata Asks, doing some sort of a very, you know, sanitized interview with developers. Like, have we heard from, like, what have we heard from these developers
We just heard
at all?
that one trailer with Mr. Aonuma.
10-minute where he was basically playing the game.
Yeah. And he said like one sentence before.
Like
and then like some directs where he talked about the delay. And then some directs where he said like a word or two.
But it would be nice to get into sort of like the deeper, like, you know, motivations of the team. Or like,
making a game that's a sequel to the biggest game ever.
Exactly.
Just answer that basic
like
question.
there's nothing. And then with that, like you could do developer interviews with media. Like they clearly just don't want these developers to do anything.
Ask the developer with like way less interesting games. Didn't they do like Mario Strikers?
The games they know aren't going to sell.
Mario Strikers had an ask the developer saying, who cares?
So it's like a preemptive, like, when they do an ask the developer.
Right? It's like, oh, you don't need to ask me anything because I'm this game's going to sell. I don't care. Yeah.
Where's the Treehouse Live for this game?
Yeah.
You could do it.
Oh,
you could do it.
Do it for
with the same thing.
If they let media play 2 hours during their previews, why couldn't they let Treehouse play 2 hours of that preview?
I don't know. Like the whole approach to Treehouse Live is baffling because they do it maybe once a year.
Yeah.
It seems like it made sense doing it at E3 to do like days and days and days.
But there's
if you have
games coming out all the time, why not
a monster game like this? Again,
it's a 2-hour stream.
Pull out the stops. This is the biggest game you've ever had. Do everything. Do not. This is an opportunity. This is a major opportunity. Look at it that way. It's like, what are you doing to seize this opportunity instead of just like, oh, I'm good. We've done enough.
Yeah.
Kick my feet up and hope it doesn't leak.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't help.
And it did. Right.
Yeah. Treehouse Live is a great idea because they had the building blocks to do it all along.
Right.
Like they absolutely could have just played that demo area.
Mm-hmm.
Because they let media do it.
Yeah.
So that's so weird that they didn't do a Treehouse Live. Maybe they're preparing for the next Bakugan?
I mean, again, we still have at the
maybe
time,
it's coming.
At the time of this recording, 10 days or so before it comes out.
Maybe they're doing it right before.
So maybe they will. We're recording this. What is this? May 1st. We're recording this. Let's see. By the time this comes out, are they going to do a Treehouse Live?
They listen to the podcast on Thursday, and on Friday there's
Let's
a
do
Treehouse Live.
We got to do it. Another major missed opportunity was the Game Awards. This has come and gone, but you talk about breaking out of your echo chamber.
Right. That's a huge
of the Zelda fans, the Nintendo fans.
Yeah.
But still, people who know games, love games, are people who buy a lot of games. Like that is such a good opportunity to do something, and they really didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I know for Nintendo, whenever they think about these sort of outside of their own control announcement opportunities, like before with E3, obviously, and the Game Awards, it's like, if the timing doesn't work for us, we're just not going to do anything. But it's like, this might have been an instance where you think to yourself, like, hey, I should maybe shift my stuff around.
Right.
Because the timing, because of the TGAs, to really capitalize on their audience.
They did win the most anticipated game, and they do have that very large up on their website of we won most anticipated game. So clearly they see value in that.
It's really interesting that they were nominated for most anticipated game for that game, but had nothing about that game.
Yeah.
It's like that could have been a great 1-2 for them because they would have won that category And then it could have been a moment where they're like, hey, here's like a 30-second trailer.
Right. So again, all of these are opportunities to make this game bigger, to do a pre-order, to get somebody excited, to start a conversation with somebody who wasn't having it before. So just pass. No, not going to do that. The Mario movie.
Yeah, that was my
So when we went to see it, not at the premiere, like they were running ads for Switch.
But not for Tears of the Kingdom.
It was more for like Mario stuff, which makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
I'm not mad about that.
Princess stuff? I was a little mad about that. Just saying. I was going to the bathroom when that ad came on, and I stopped in the aisle and turned around, and you looked at me.
I was watching you because I knew you'd be mad.
And I turned around and gave you like the dirtiest look, and you were like, "Oh my god." Anyways.
But I mean, they always run a lot of ads before every movie.
Yeah.
Like if this is the next big Nintendo thing after the movie, you could do something there.
They probably already had a cinema buy in place. They could have just added 30 seconds to that cinema buy. Like it's so easy.
Right. The last thing is way less impactful. I put out a tweet about this, and some people were like, "Oh, who cares?" You know, they just released this great new hardware, and we've had people in our Discord posting like their unboxings of it.
It's fun, yeah.
It looks so beautiful,
yeah.
like in person. And I went to go see what they did on social media for it. They just posted like this stock photos of it. It's like, at least get some new pictures of it, get some different angles that people haven't seen. Like
and they have a whole collection too. It's not just the hardware. It's like the
there's an
Pro
amiibo,
controller,
there's a Pro controller.
Amiibo.
There's a lot of stuff.
They have the Switch carrying case. Like it really looks really nice. It's a complete collection.
And it seems like this is, you know, as far as these hardware systems go, pretty plentiful. Like it seems like they made a lot.
Yeah, people were saying that there were so many available.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like, even like media outlets were like, "Don't worry, there's plenty online." And then like people said that they were going into stores and it was just like stacks on stacks.
I mean, maybe in 2 weeks they'll freak out because there's, haven't sold out.
They should have done something then.
Right. It's easy to do something to support that.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, well, the content creators will do that," or Beat 'em Ups already did that a month ago, so they don't have to. It's like, oh yeah, Nintendo loves relying on the leaked products that they're
and they love relying on
that
content
their disliked content creators do for them.
They love relying on content creators that they're constantly striking. So yes, of course, absolutely.
So
that's the way.
I actually think in the end they've had a pretty solid campaign.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at this as like, this is maybe the biggest game we'll ever release on the Switch. What are all the opportunities we have to push this, make this feel big, get people excited?
Yeah, I think if you are thinking about this as a way of just, it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild, the biggest game of the year. It's pretty much going to sell itself. We don't need to do anything extra. That could be their mindset. Like, let's just stick with that route and not spend any more time and money. But you certainly would miss out on reaching, I think, a broader audience.
Yeah.
And there are still a lot of people out there that are not convinced to buy this game on day one. So even if you could have converted a few more of those, like, Zelda fans, I don't know, with some of these pretty simple, like, low-cost ways of marketing it, like, I think it'd be worth it, but I guess, for them, they just wanted to stick with the sort of the path that they were on for marketing and sharing information about this game.
We have some comments from our subscribers. Tuscoob said, "I don't think the problem with this marketing cycle was how much they revealed, but rather how long it was and how they backloaded this entire thing into the last 6 weeks out of nearly 4 years.
It's true.
It doesn't matter ultimately because it'll sell itself from some ads posted on social media and IRL, but the majority of this cycle was very unpleasant."
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, I mean, up to about a month ago, there was
pretty much nothing.
And
then we had some stuff.
And then, then they started. And
I almost feel like, again, I think I've said this before, it's like, because people were so starved, anything was good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like unfortunate. It's like you didn't share anything for 3.5 years, and you shared something kind of pretty basic, like 4 trailers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Within the last, like 6 weeks leading up to launch.
Yeah.
Like, of course people are going to react positively because it's like you basically fed someone a meal that you've starved for 2 years. So
I keep going back to the announcement.
Doesn't matter how good the food is.
2019. Like, I don't know why they felt the need to announce it then.
That was strange, right?
Because, I mean, I feel like this game probably, they wanted it to come out sooner. You had the pandemic. I mean, there were delays that were announced.
Sure.
But
even so,
it was never clear
early in the cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it was only 2 years after Breath of the Wild. And sometimes, you hear like, oh, well, we're doing this because we need to recruit for the team. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was really their challenge here.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Because they probably just rolled the same team onto this next project.
The team that finished the DLC rolled directly onto Tears of the Kingdom.
So I just don't really get that. And it's very unlike them to do that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. James Hawkins says, while I feel content with what Nintendo have provided going into Tears of the Kingdom, I was going to get it anyway. I feel they have slacked a little bit in the marketing for the casual audience.
Yeah.
Only really ramping up in the past few weeks. Perhaps if they revealed the main gameplay elements earlier on, they could have produced a larger marketing scheme aiming at the casual audience. I do feel that all the secrecy they've had for the game might have shot themselves in the foot in this sense, but this game is going to sell well no matter what.
Yeah.
That's well said.
That's very well said.
Then finally, Kai Wright says, Nintendo is in a tricky place with this game. As a sequel, it has a largely built-in fan base, more than the average Zelda game would. That being said, they still want to bring in new fans, which is difficult to do on a sequel. They want to give information to new potential entrants to the series, but can't without giving more information than the hardcore fan needs and wants. I also want to say happy birthday to Kai.
Happy birthday!
As we record this today is Kai's birthday.
That's right.
Happy birthday.
May baby.
Yes. That's another good point.
Yeah, very good point. I think all of these are very, smart responses, and I think it is something that is, Nintendo can be very, I don't know, I feel like sometimes they can just be very, in their own heads about, they, overthink it to a point where they don't do anything. They become paralyzed with indecision. What did we used to call it? Analysis paralysis? Yeah. That is something that happens a lot at Nintendo. We experienced it a lot at Nintendo, where
you just talk yourself to death about doing a thing.
To death.
And then time runs out and you've done nothing.
Yeah, and something simple becomes very, very complicated for some reason. And then as you explain it over and over and over and over and over and over again, it just gets, even for you, who started out with a very simple idea, it even starts to confuse the person that's proposed it in the first place. Yeah. And eventually you give up. So I wonder if that was part of the struggle with the marketing team for this game, with a development team that has very strong, ideas. But that is where we are today. I am looking forward to the Bakugan Treehouse Live on Friday. Excited.
Anything else you want to say about Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, I guess the last things that we should talk about as we lead into this launch is what are your expectations? We've talked so much about how we both think, or we've both been managing our expectations leading into this launch just to make sure that we are not disappointed, because Breath of the Wild is such, number one in our book. Have you, now that you're getting so close, have you changed your mind at all? Are you super hyped now after seeing the previews, after seeing all the trailers? Have you jumped onto the hype train?
My hype was really like a hibernating bear for a long time, where as they were trickling out trailers, it was I'm going to be into this game when it comes out, and I'm definitely going to spend a ton of time, but I wasn't getting that feeling from it, but it was fine.
Yeah.
But then once they started, and it started with the Aonuma trailer, or the Aonuma gameplay, I did start to get very excited, because you could finally see tangibly what's new, and it was all stuff that definitely spoke to me of, building upon the creativity of Breath of the Wild and expanding the world of Breath of the Wild. There's still a lot that we don't know about what's happening on the ground, which is fine. But yeah, I think it's right in line with what I put in our predictions at the start of the year, which is it's going to be an incredible game, but it probably won't feel as groundbreakingly incredible as the first.
So you still,
but I'm fine with that.
You're still sticking with that.
Yes, but
you have not changed your mind.
I'm totally
from that.
fine with that. No,
interesting.
Totally fine with that.
Okay, yeah, that's
you?
Interesting. I am starting to sway a little bit into
wait, which way?
Into it being more groundbreaking than I expected it to be.
Oh,
I think that last trailer The one where I
You're
reacted.
getting bamboozled by
I'm
this
getting
trailer.
bamboozled by the trailer. I don't know why, because I shouldn't. Because this has not gone well before. But that last trailer just really showed that the game is doing both things so well, like maintaining what made Breath of the Wild so like playable beyond beating the game, like that creativity, that experimentation, you being able to do things in the world that you never thought was possible, and then seeing what everyone else is doing in the world that you never thought was possible, like was so much fun. And I think there are even more elements in Tears of the Kingdom that allow people to do that. So that part of it is very much intact. And then I do sense that there is more story this time too, and a really, really cool, like hopefully emotional. Why are you nodding at me like that?
I'm just waiting for you to finish.
Yeah,
this
I kind of feel like there could be some like deeper story than we got in Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
That will just really like make this game feel bigger or more important. I don't know. Like I'm starting to sway a little bit.
Okay.
So we will see.
Zelda visual novel when?
Zelda movie win.
Oh.
What do you think needs to be in this game for it to be Game of the Year?
I think so. Again, we know what is in the sky. There needs to be some sort of significant transformation of the rest of the game world, I think.
Okay.
Because again, if you were literally just traversing the same old place, like that'll be fun, and there will be that interplay of going from top to bottom. But that would be a little like they didn't. I don't know. It would feel a little bummer if they didn't do something to significantly change that.
Yeah.
He said in that video, like I could spend all day telling you about the differences. I mean, are they tiny little differences that the average person is going to notice? I don't know.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. It's like something that is very significant to maybe the development team might not feel as substantial to the normal player. Like they've been in it for 4 years, right? So it's going to feel different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be like some sort of significant change between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom to make it Game of the Year again. And I just think the game itself needs to feel like grander overall. Like Breath of the Wild felt pretty grand, but also I think it was really like resting on the fact that it was like the first time a Zelda game did XYZ. Like now, Tears of the Kingdom won't have that as like a safety net of like, this is not the first time a Zelda game did XYZ because Breath of the Wild already did it.
Right.
So now you need to employ other things to make the scope of the game, whether it's story, whether it's combat, whether it's, a bigger world, just make it feel like grander and more for it to get that.
The other thing that Breath of the Wild did that it still feels that way is like it I keep saying is it came from the future. Like there are ideas in that game that nobody was thinking about that people are now still trying to catch up to. Like will it have anything like that where people who are actual developers like, oh my gosh, this is so much further than what we ever thought of doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, if it doesn't, I think that's fine. I'll still be perfectly happy with it.
Yeah.
I just think it's hard to get lightning in a bottle twice, but I don't know. They did it once. Maybe they can do it again.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. High hopes, though. High hopes. All right. That's it on our big pre-launch Zelda discussion, I think.
More Zelda next week.
More Zelda next week. More Zelda next week.
All right. Let's get into what we're playing, and let's start with the Street Fighter 6, which we teased at the top.
Yeah.
So yes, we went to Capcom, played this game basically all day. It was very interesting. So they said they were doing a multi-day event of people coming in and playing the game. Somehow we got in the group that had like professional fighting game people.
Oh my goodness,
Like we were sitting literally next to Justin Wong in the demo room. It's like, why are we here today?
I know. We were with all of the fighting game players, which was amazing. And Justin Wong and I we had worked together before when I was working on Smash. And Pokken Tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. Pokken.
It's a great game, by the way. And Justin Wong is a very nice person. So it was really nice to be kind of reunited with him and some of these other, true like fighting game
experts. Yes, which we are not.
We are not, but it was fun to listen to their conversations.
What is your history with Street Fighter?
My history with Street Fighter, I played in the arcades for sure with my friends. And then my first like Street Fighter game that I owned was the one on Xbox 360. Through Street Fighter.
So you did not have that on Super Nintendo?
I don't think I had it. I didn't own it. My friends owned it. So I think I played it at
and you just, that's right. You just bought it when we went retro shopping.
Because I didn't have it.
Okay.
Remember?
Got it. Yes.
So Xbox 360 was Street Fighter 4.
4, yeah.
Yeah, that was the
That's a great one.
first Street Fighter that I owned. I loved it.
Okay.
That was when I like really tried to
Yeah.
like learn all of the different like button combos and
Yeah,
stuff like that. I didn't do very well, but I had fun. I liked it. And from there, I've been definitely more of a Street Fighter fan. I'm not a good fighting game player at all. I'm actually terrible. But I do like Street Fighter because the characters are iconic, and I think that they do have some different modes that make it more accessible for people. So
yeah, Street Fighter for me was one of those arcade obsessions that I had. But again, like with all these arcade games, I never actually played them much in the arcade. I would just watch people play it because it's like I'm not sinking like my mom's not giving me $10 in quarters to go to the Safeway and play Street Fighter. So I was super happy when it came out on Super Nintendo. Played the heck out of that, all of those versions. Once it got into Street Fighter 3 and beyond, I kind of fell off for a little while. I don't exactly know why, but I sort of took a break from the series until 4, like you.
Oh, nice.
So there's some things that happened within 3. I mean, there's so many games. It's not just numerical. Like, oh, there was 2, then there's 3.
Yeah, there's like
there's like dozens of games.
There's so many like spin-offs and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff that happened in the series from that stretch where I'm still trying to catch up on like gameplay, like all those different meters that you have. Like I don't really use those the way that I probably should.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still very much playing it.
As a Street Fighter 2 player?
Like, oh, this is Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Like, that's the one that I know best, and that's how I play it. I do fine in that. I'm telling you this. When I played Street Fighter 4, I was a menace online as E Honda. Like, I had a win rate that was like 70-something%.
Really?
Yes. I did really well.
Do you think you're going to do that well with E Honda?
I don't know. I gotta learn more about this E Honda, but E Honda is definitely my character.
Nice.
And they were saying like, oh, we don't see a lot of E Honda characters.
I know. They don't see a lot of E Honda players.
That's my
They were like looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, they're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I did win. We had a Nintendo Minute competition in Street Fighter.
That's true. That was fun.
With Capcom.
We did like a round robin competition.
Which I won.
You did win.
I need to be very clear about that. I won this.
You did win that.
Yes.
Were you playing as E Honda again?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Dispatched.
I think I was very bad.
I would say watch the video, but it's gone. Dispatched these people from Capcom.
Maybe.
They had to bow to my greatness.
It was a great thumbnail that we had for that video. I might put the thumbnail.
Post the thumbnail, yeah.
Post the thumbnail. That thumbnail was one of my all-time great works.
So I have a lot of love for Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I played Street Fighter 5 and didn't love it. That game, I don't think most people did.
I don't think I loved that one.
That game had some issues.
Yeah, I don't think I liked that one.
But this game we predicted was going to be one of the biggest games of the year.
Absolutely.
I think we
96,
when we were doing our Metacritic predictions, like this was maybe the highest.
I think it might have been.
I think for me
it might have been my highest.
Yeah. Like
I think I said 96 or 97, something like that.
Oh, 97, that's really high. Well, anyway, I came out of this.
Good, man.
I came out of this session and be like, yes, we were right again about this. This game's going to be huge.
We Are Right tour continues.
This game's going to be huge.
I absolutely loved everything that we played during that session. I was like floored by this game.
Oh.
So we really, like, again, I'm not really good at these games at all, but I felt really good because they have these modern controls now. And they're not, okay.
How did they come up with this name?
Who cares? Because they don't want you to feel bad about yourself. Because they don't want you to call it casual. Because then people are like, oh, I wouldn't choose this.
Yeah.
They're called modern. It's a classic, modern, and then like easy mode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not like baby mode where you press like one button and your character does like 14 combos.
Yeah.
It's like you still got to do a thing.
It's somewhat simplified.
Somewhat simplified. Instead of like 14 combinations, you do like 4. Mm-hmm. But you still feel like you're doing something. And then you feel like you're like capable of, playing other people and not getting completely rocked. Mm-hmm. So I really I really liked it. I really liked those controls. It like was perfect for me. And you know, we played the CPU and it felt good. I played you a couple of times. That was fun. Like it wasn't that bad. I mean, you beat me, but it wasn't.
You can mix and match. We both didn't have to do that.
Right. You were classic. I was modern.
Right.
And we had fun. Like I had fun. Like it didn't feel like, you know, like it was no chance at all. Like there were still fun moments. You know.
Yeah.
So it makes it just like a little bit more accessible for someone that just has a really hard time with these kinds of fighting games. And then when you play with somebody else, you're not feeling like, oh man, this is so boring playing with this person.
Or I have no
keeps
chance.
Losing.
Yeah.
Or like I can beat this person. Like who cares?
Right.
Like it's so easy for me. Or I have no chance. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So that was great. I really, really liked that new world tour mode. I think we both were kind of surprised by that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun, and it was like a lot bigger than we both expected.
Yeah, when they first announced that, I thought, like, well, this looks kind of neat, but it has a potential to be awful. Because fighting games are always trying to have a good single-player mode.
Yeah.
And there are some good examples of that. Like, the new Mortal Kombats have been incredible with those. Like, those are worth the price of admission just to play the single player.
Yeah, totally.
But there's a lot of misfires along the way, and this could have easily fallen into that, but like there's a lot to this, and I think this is going to be really fun.
It's super fun. Like you start out by creating your character, so you do feel a huge sense of like personalization and customization. You made a really gross looking character. I didn't love it, but
well, I was short on time because and it was like, who cares? This is like a throwaway character. Let's just make it ugly.
Okay,
yeah,
that's why everyone's been doing that. I guess I feel like Capcom's really embraced that.
I decided what I'm going to do though in the actual game,
what are you gonna do?
Because the game is set in Metro City where Final Fight comes. I'm going to make a Final Fight character.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
It's great. Mike Hagar is the mayor.
There's a giant statue of Mike Hagar.
Looking buff as ever in his like suit that's about to rip right off of his body. Yeah, the world that they built in that single player mode, or the world tour mode, is really big. You know, we did a couple of chapters, but you like get to run around a fair amount. You get to go to Chinatown to visit like Chun-Li.
It's big,
pretty cool.
And it's also very detailed.
It's detailed.
Like they could have totally cut a lot of corners of just like, oh, generic building here.
Yeah.
Like there's you can look into like the storefronts and see stuff.
There's people walking around. It feels really full. You can get into street fights everywhere.
A lot of Easter eggs, like references around the town where like if you've played all these fighting games or even just like kind of know Capcom games in general, like, oh, haha, I get that reference.
Yeah.
Which are really fun to find. And it looks great. Like again, there's a lot of games that's like slapdash, make a big open world, but like this feels like they put a lot of effort into making it. Yeah. So that's great. But yeah, you make your character, you get missions, you go around fighting people. Eventually, you come to be able to customize your character more. So there's a skill tree, or there's a number of skill trees. And the way they do that's interesting. I misread it the first time. I thought, okay, well, I'll eventually get all of these.
No, you have to choose.
So you have like multiple, like 2 options. It's like a tournament bracket.
It is.
Pick one.
Right.
So I didn't realize that until later.
Oh.
But it didn't matter. Again, this is a throwaway character.
Now you know.
But that's an interesting way to approach it.
You have to choose.
You can't just get everything.
I like how it's a tournament bracket too. That's like very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever. Yeah.
And then you do encounter like Street Fighter characters. So we ran into Chun-Li and you kind of fight her disciples. And then she's like, all right, well, I'm going to give you my fighting style.
Yeah.
So
and then you can customize your character based on the fighting styles you've collected from these classic Street Fighter characters.
Right. So all of a sudden I'm doing the spinning bird kick. But eventually you can mix and match to create
like your own
the character you like. So that's
cool.
neat. That's neat.
Yeah, it's really fun. And really deep. So I'm really looking forward to we played a couple of chapters of that, but the story seems to be really interesting actually. So I'm looking forward to like actually playing that entire mode, which is perfect for me because I probably can't hang online with people.
So those fights did feel like I might actually go with the modern mode in that.
Yeah.
In that world tour, because they're doing some different stuff in those fights. It's not strictly just one-on-one.
Yeah.
They felt a little less technical because sometimes it's like, oh, here's a 2-on-1 or you have a guy on your side.
Right.
So it didn't feel like, oh, I need to be technically perfect in this fight like I would in a one-on-one.
Right.
So I may actually do that.
Oh, nice.
Just to have it give it a different feel.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. yeah, everybody in that room was like, "Oh, this is like a big open
People
world."
were having a lot of fun. We were all laughing at all the crazy characters.
And these are the
creating.
people who would care about the extreme technical details of it.
I know, and they didn't mind. They seemed to be really
Right.
into like a different kind of feel.
Right.
But the other side of it is, you know, a lot of the fighting game experts were testing out like in the fighting grounds.
Yeah.
Like all of the things, and you can just hear how excited they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were saying stuff that I didn't understand, but it sounded cool and
Yeah.
official. So I'm guessing they liked it. It was like clicking of fighting sticks to be heard around the world, guys.
I can use an arcade. Again, this goes back to me not actually playing on the
they gave us
arcade.
arcade sticks and regular
I
controllers.
can't use a fighting stick. I just can't get the controls right the way I
man,
can.
Watching their hands move
on a-
across it's insane.
Right,
It's
right.
really cool
so this
to
is
watch.
probably holding me
Yeah.
back from my pro career. I do fine
it's
fine
cool.
on that, but yeah, the fighting stick has always been like, oh, I'd rather not actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was fun. They had all the characters available, all the stages.
Mm-hmm.
We were checking out some of the new characters that were really weird and zany, and also the classics are all there as well.
Yeah, there's I
It
think
feels good to
8
go back to the classics.
I think there's 8 of the classic characters, and something I
Mm-hmm.
like about this more so like I feel like in Mortal Kombat or some other legacy fighting games, from game to game, they'll be like, oh well, we completely rethought how this character works, and you kind of
Right.
have to relearn it.
Right.
Which I find a little frustrating. Whereas in Street Fighter and in this game too, it's like, okay, like I'm playing Guile. I know all of Guile's moves. Maybe they added some new stuff, but there's just a few things I can do the Sonic Boom, I can do the Flash Kick. And those are done the same way.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I'm starting from scratch.
Right, exactly. Like even I remember how to do a Hadouken.
Right.
You know, like at least I know how to do that. You know.
Yeah, because let's be honest, I don't have the time to be like mastering a new fighting game at this point.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like it's nice to have
totally.
something to come back to.
Yeah, and if you wanted to like learn a new character, you can. There's plenty of new characters. I really like that ballerina character, Manon. I think.
Yeah.
That's a really fun one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think my favorite character out of the whole bunch that we played was Blanca.
Oh yeah.
That was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked just going back to some of these classic characters
Right.
and like seeing some of the new animations and moves and stuff like that. It's really fun.
Yeah. So watch our video if you want to see more of that game.
Yeah,
and
we have tons
more
of new
impressions,
gameplay.
but
Your
very-
gameplay, Kit's gameplay
Well, that's
in that video.
It's not anything special.
Very
but
special.
It's not.
If you want to watch his pro E Honda moves,
No,
it is in
it's
that
not.
video. If you want to see Kit's ugly character that he created
See that.
for
Definitely see that.
World Tour, it's
is
in
ugly.
that video. We'll link it here. Go watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I have also been marching on with Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster.
Are you
Final
done with
Fantasy
4?
4.
Done?
No, I'm not done,
Oh.
but I am really surprised at how quickly I am getting through this game. So the way I'm playing is I'm playing with double experience turned on.
Okay.
Because
So you don't have to grind.
I'm just trying to eliminate some of the grinding. I
Yeah,
know the
I get
points
that.
in that game where you need to grind, and at certain points you do need to grind for a while. So it's like I just like to get beyond that. And I remember last week where we left off here was I said I was at the part of the game I dislike the most.
Right.
So
because you had to grind before.
You have to grind big time before you go into this dungeon, and it's also a special dungeon where you have to take off all of your
Armor and stuff. Yeah.
and kind of tough it
I remember
through
that.
to get to the end. So
Yeah.
I was like, I really don't like this part. Let's see what I can do in this game to get around that. So I actually turned off encounters in that dungeon
Oh.
because I was like,
You don't want to deal with that.
I don't want to take the stuff off. I don't want to. I took the stuff off on one person because if you actually get in a fight, it's game over because it's like you're over encumbered and you just game over. So I took it off for one person. But I had no encounters. I just rushed through that dungeon, got to the boss, finished the boss.
And then you're out.
Came back out, and then I went back to normal encounters. Again, still in the double experience. I've played for maybe, I think my play clock's at like 12 something hours, but I'm probably like 3/4 through this game.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you can get, I'm amazed at how quickly you can get through these games that before like were major time sucks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice for a game that you've played a million times. It's like,
Right.
I just want this experience. I don't.
And then you want to see it with a beautiful new like graphics. And
Right.
you can listen to the music
Right.
and just enjoy.
If I was playing it for the first time, that's probably not what I would do because I
Right.
want to take it in at the proper pace.
Right.
But this is like, yeah, I know what's going to happen next. I know what I'm
Right.
doing. I just want to experience all
It's
of
so
this.
nice that they give you that option. it's really like a good idea for any sort of big remasters.
It's very nice
for a big RPG like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, you're banking on the fact that people probably have played this game before and they just want to kind of relive the nostalgia and the memories, but not have to deal with some of the, you know, the sort of time-consuming, tedious kinds of things.
Yeah. So I'm not worried at all about finishing this game before Tears of the Kingdom comes out, and who knows? Maybe I'll dig into another one of these by the time then.
6?
6 is bigger than 4,
One?
so one is.
Dabble in one
I'm
for a
interested to
while.
go back to 1 and see how far I can get.
Yeah.
Because that game has tormented me for. It's time to get my revenge.
It's my Zelda one.
On
it's
that
my
game.
original Legend of Zelda.
I have also started watching a 3-hour YouTube documentary on Final Fantasy IV.
Oh, wow.
Which I didn't know was out there. I also watched a very exhaustive video going through all the versions of that game and all the minutia level differences in all the versions. That was like a 45-minute video, but really like interesting for someone who loves that game. Like I knew about all those versions. I knew generally of like, oh, this was a little bit different, that was a little bit different. I didn't know in that level of detail all of the differences. And it's a game where like there's not necessarily one that stands out as the best.
Yeah, it's like everyone's favorite is different.
All these other ones
for reasons not because of the game is good or bad, but
so
for
I
your
like
own
that.
Because the time that you experienced it has so much to do with why that's your favorite. So interesting.
So I actually like that for this game because it's a game that I intend to play like
for the rest of your life.
Basically for the rest of my life. So every time I can just pick a different version. I did just pick up the Steam version, which is based on the DS version, which was like a 3D, like a proper 3D game. But now, you know, it just looks a little bit nicer on the Steam Deck.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So I have that ready to go. There's also Final Fantasy IV, The After Years.
Oh, that's right. I remember
which
this.
I never played on WiiWare.
Yes, WiiWare.
Because I was worried about it besmirching my good memories of Final Fantasy IV. I'm like,
Do people say that it's good?
I don't think it's as good as the main game,
It's not as good.
but I'm ready to experience it. So they actually also have that on Steam. Also a 3D version. I wish there was a 2D version easy to get. There's not. So I have both of those ready to go. Actually, maybe that's what I'll do after I finish.
Just keep going down your 4 path.
Go down the after years because I've never experienced that. That's my secret shame as a Final Fantasy IV fan.
Wow.
But I love this game.
Wow.
I love this game deeply.
It's going well for you.
Yes.
Is Rydia an adult yet?
Rydia's back, yes.
Is she an adult?
I now have the full final
team.
Nice. Right. I just got last night Edge, who is the ninja.
Yeah, the ninja. Yes.
Does ninjutsu.
What is ninjutsu?
He also has a crush on Rydia. I can't blame him. So yeah.
Who doesn't?
Things are not going well for you in Resident Evil 4, though, because you're still playing this game.
I'm still playing
Months
it, but
later.
I'm getting close.
Finish a game. Do something.
Chapter 15 is what I'm on right now. Chapter 15. So that means I have 2 more. Well, I just started chapter 15. So I have chapter 15 and
You're
chapter
close.
16.
Yeah.
I'm very close. I've had some family obligations this weekend, so it was a little delayed. But I'm doing well. I was telling you that I think I was the most scared I've ever been in this game playing chapter... It must have been chapter 14.
Yeah. With the goopy guys.
With the goopy guys.
Yeah, those are gross.
And the key card. And like it was very that is the thing about Resident Evil that scares me the most is the sense of foreboding tension where you know that there's creepy goopy monsters coming after you and you also know that you cannot kill them. Like,
but you can kill these.
Well, you have to get
not the
scope.
not the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
The first time they're like
Thermal
chasing
scope.
Yes. They're chasing you like around that like abandoned hospital.
Yeah, that's a lot of like back and forth.
It was scary, and I'm easily lost. So I was getting like a little bit panicked, and I was getting lost as I was trying to get to the different like key card areas to like do the key card, and I would keep running into the kitchen where it was safe to hide out with like the guy that sells you stuff. I kept like running in there, but yeah, that was a little anxiety inducing for sure. I was holding my breath like most of that time, and I was like real like tense through that whole section. But through it, I just beat the other, sort of major boss. Major.
Oh, the knife fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he becomes a crazy, scary.
That was one of those things
Monster.
where when I played that, I was
Spoiler.
like, this is not what happened in the original game. And I went back and it was,
And it was
literally exactly
It was
what happened.
exactly what happens, and I remember that part in the original
Yeah.
game, and I remember kind of what to do.
Yeah.
Like you can parry his meat.
I like
knife
that
arms.
fight. I like that.
That's a
fight.
great fight,
Yeah.
and it's great. It's a really creative fight because not only do you just do one-on-one battling with him, but you're doing that thing in the dungeon where like he like trapped you, and you have to get rid of all the different traps.
right.
Like it's such an interesting way to approach like a boss fight. You know. I really
Japanese
like that.
developers
Really
in like the
that.
early 2000s were obsessed with this sort of like military.
I do love that.
Like him and Koji, like that game, like Kojima was always like coming to do these trips. So like we're doing military training to get ready for the new Metal Gear Solid game. It's like, you don't need to do this.
They want to get the real feel.
Little like Boy Scouts routine that you're doing and running around in the woods with like Nerf guns or something. Like,
War games?
what is it?
Bounce a quarter off the bed?
Super into.
They're really into it. That character is such like the epitome of like a military.
America!
Yeah, of like a brutish military
Yeah.
character from like the 90s or
Right.
like the 2000s
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
it is. It's like, yes. And there's like some great one-liners in that boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Leon's one-liners are legendary, truly. Quite enjoying it. But yeah, I'm glad to be through the scary part. I have the thermal scope now. I can shoot the hearts. Everything is fine.
Okay.
I don't like the way they die either. It's really gross. Where it's just like
Like,
half of
like
the body,
explode.
and there's like
Yeah.
guts just like waving around from their like half torso.
Yeah.
Ew.
Well, tell us what you're playing next because we're all getting sick of hearing about
I'm
this.
playing Tears of the Kingdom next.
But you're going to be done in like a day or two. So what are you going to do?
I guess you're right.
You should check out that Dredge game.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're waiting for it to go on sale.
Yeah. I played the demo. I like the demo.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be playing some sort of like cozy indie game or a
Again, I don't know if
shorter-
that's cozy.
Is it scary?
Well, I told you, it was leading up to something scary. But I don't know exactly what.
Okay.
I doubt it's that scary.
It's not Resident
It's not Resident Evil.
scary.
Yeah.
It's not half a torso scary. Yeah, I can definitely do that. If anyone has a suggestion for another like
Oh, perfect.
cute little game
Please.
that I can play in the week leading up to Tears of the Kingdom. I still have to do all my Breath of the Wild stuff. We're going to do I'm going to personally go back and have to search for some of my goodbye locations. I got to play that for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the news.
Yes, we have a pretty big news section today. I added a story.
Oh,
To the end,
that's
FYI.
exciting. We want to start with the latest on the Microsoft Activision merger.
Oh boy.
This is sort of this happened shortly after we recorded last week's podcast, so it's
Yeah.
not the freshest news, but it is significant. So
Yeah.
we didn't want to not talk about it. So they've run into a roadblock in the UK with this Competition and Markets Authority.
Yeah, the CMA.
So I was like, why does the Country Music Awards have it in for Microsoft? Okay. But their issue is not around the deal itself. It's around that the deal could hinder the growth of cloud gaming, which I
Yeah.
think was really not on anybody's level of concern when
Right.
it came to this acquisition. So I think the feeling I got was that this majorly blindsided Microsoft.
Yeah.
Like, well, we were not
Expecting this. Right.
So they are going to appeal it. IGN has a great story where they actually spoke to a lawyer in the UK about this.
Oh,
That would be worth reading. So they said it'll take them several months to do this appeal. It is not a regular thing for these to be overturned, though. And basically the way they do these appeals is like it's hard to introduce a lot of new stuff. They basically have to review the same materials. Obviously, you can explain why you are appealing this,
Right.
But it can't be like, oh, well, here's this new
batch of
evidence or whatever
Evidence,
that I'm
yeah.
introducing.
Information.
So this is dicey for them. The president of Microsoft, Brad Smith, he sort of got out there.
This
and was
is a
talking about
crazy
this.
quote, I
So he
thought.
had this quote. It does more than shake our confidence in the future of the opportunity to grow a technology business in Britain than we've ever confronted before, he continued. People are shocked, people are disappointed, and people's confidence in technology in the UK has been severely shaken.
Whoa.
There's a clear message here. The European Union is a more attractive place to start a business than the United Kingdom.
It's really coming after the UK here.
Yikes. So it's a lot of bombast in these quotes. there's more quotes, and some of them read like thinly veiled threats. Like
The quotes were really...
be ashamed if something happened to your Microsoft Office
I know.
UK.
Exactly.
But what are they actually going to do?
I mean...
They're not going to do anything.
Is that a huge part of their business?
What?
In the UK?
What?
Microsoft?
I mean, it's a big market
in
the world overall
yeah.
that uses Microsoft products.
Yeah,
so
yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's not nothing. I don't think they would want to just be
nothing.
like, we're coming out of it. Like, what? You can't buy Microsoft
That's
product
ridiculous.
in the like.
That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
what are we even talking about here?
Yeah.
So, the other thing that is interesting about this is if the deal falls apart, Microsoft still has to pay Activision $3 billion. That was something that was in the contract.
Of money.
So it's not like there's nothing at stake. It's not like, oh well,
everyone goes their separate ways.
Yeah, we're just going to give up.
Fine.
We spent a lot of time and money on it, but deal. It's like you've invested a ton of resources and you owe these $3 billion, all of which is nothing to Microsoft, but
still,
they're very invested.
Yeah.
Emotionally,
now
financially,
it's
every which way.
And it just doesn't help when there are these sort of challenges along the way for them, I think, because it just makes them more, I think, desperate almost to make it work any which way. And it's just, it's not a good place to be.
Once again, I worry about Phil Spencer's mental
health.
well-being.
Yeah, please.
Throughout all of this, as the
Please
sort of the center of
breathe
this.
Breathe and meditate. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so I honestly don't know what's going to happen.
I know.
Next here.
It's really just like every couple of months, there's a new wrinkle in this whole thing that is something that no one has ever expected. So, stay tuned for the everlasting drama.
I'm also unclear by like how many of these different countries' regulatory boards have to approve this.
Why
is it
so
every
many?
Is it every single country where you do business?
Is it that hard for
I don't know.
Everybody, or is it just particularly hard for?
Well,
are mergers always this hard? I guess.
Well, a lot of people are saying like people have an axe to grind against Microsoft.
That's what I was thinking.
This is not their first time being questioned for monopoly tactics.
Right.
I've heard people saying a lot of people see there was a big miss with Facebook and Instagram of like, oh, in hindsight, we probably should have
let that happen.
Right.
Because now we have to deal with this crazy like.
Right. So I've seen that as like these are the two clouds that are kind of hanging over this.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like if you had done this merger before some of these other big mergers have happened, it might have been easier because people don't know the folly of having this go through and what that actually means for a business.
It's tough times for Xbox. I mean, it would be great if they had some hot new game to really
take the heat off.
Not give their fans something else to talk about instead of this gloom and doom that most people don't even understand.
I know.
But they don't. I mean, they have Redfall coming out, I think, this week, but
even that's
seems
shadowed
like that's
by
kind
a little
of
bit of the frame rate
middle,
stuff has been
middle of the road.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. But
oh boy.
Happier times at Sony though. So they announced some new sales updates. So in the last quarter alone, they sold 6 million PlayStation 5s, and they're expecting to sell an unprecedented 25 million PlayStation 5s in 2023.
That's incredible.
So we talk all the time about how somehow Nintendo dominates like the news flow in gaming. Like it seems like every day or like
it's like some
multiple
Nintendo,
times a week.
Yeah.
In contrast, Sony rarely has big updates, but it's clearly not holding them back at all.
Right. They're still selling these like game busters.
Yes. And their big game of the year is Spider-Man 2. They have not.
We're really excited about.
They don't have a firm date for that, but I think one of the voice actors leaked that it's coming around like fall-ish.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
But one of the weirdest console life cycles continues to be weird, where they had all these supply issues and they launched in the pandemic.
Yeah.
But it just seems like that demand didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
so that could have been a big concern of like, oh, well, people are just going to get something else and move on with their lives.
Right, but I guess there is no real replacement for a PS5 if you want to play these Sony exclusives.
Right.
They're not many, but there are significant games that I think people wouldn't like just forget about, I guess, which is really interesting how that has completely played out to what is happening now.
And they also said that if they do sell that 25 million for the year, that compares to 20 million PS4s in that system's third year. And they also say that 25 million would be the highest for any PlayStation system ever.
Wow.
So when I went to look and see where the Switch was, that was number 3 on the list. PlayStation 4 is not far behind. Like, PlayStation 4 maybe has been a little bit forgotten as like a super successful system.
Yeah.
So for the PlayStation 5 to be tracking
To beat that?
in that realm is
Yeah.
amazing.
It is really
Amazing performance.
And it looks like there is no more shortages.
Right.
They can deliver PS5s to almost everybody without any wait.
Yeah.
They're adding, 2.3 million active players to their player base.
Yeah.
So that is quite
It's been a
well
long time.
done.
It's been a long time since we got a significant update from Sony just on their games lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll do the state
They'll do
play
the
every
state
now
of
and then,
play, yeah.
but those are typically not the big like first party thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully this summer we get a big meaty
I hope so.
update.
I think we will.
Yeah.
I think we will.
Back in Nintendo land, they're going to Gamescom.
Yeah.
Back to Gamescom for the first time since 2019.
It's been a while for them.
They did do it last year. I think that was the first time back following the pandemic. They were not there. That runs at the end of August.
In Cologne, right?
So-
Cologne, Germany. Is that where that is?
Yes, they typically have approached Gamescom as an extension of E3, of like
Right.
taking the E3 builds and
Bringing it
to
to-
Europe.
Europe.
Now there's no E3, there's no E3 builds. What is going to be here?
Nintendo Live
A
stuff?
copy of Kirby Return to so Switch Sports? Like what are they going to have?
Will they do something similar to Nintendo Live at Gamescom because they're not doing Nintendo Live in Europe? Would that be something? Because that is in September.
I don't
so
see them
maybe-
scooping Nintendo Live.
But maybe the games that they're showing there will be... The games won't be new games. So it would just be like some sort of experiential thing.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
Nintendo Live, the benefit is it's a Nintendo event, so you can build that event however you want to
Right.
control that
True.
demo. Maybe. I mean, I joked about that. I kind of think that's what this is going to be. Of just like, hey, play these retail games that are
Play
already
the retail
out.
games. Yeah, they do that for a lot of shows nowadays.
Yeah.
It's just a presence to be somewhere where there's a lot
Yeah.
of video game fans.
Yeah.
And other times at Gamescom, the European team has done a lot of developer activities. They've done a lot of like stage presentations with developers, with sort of the developers under lock and key these days. I wonder if that's going to be something that is possible at a trade show. I don't think any developer has gone to a trade show since the last E3, right?
The other event that Europe always did that I thought looked really cool that I would have loved to gone to is the Japan Expo.
Oh yeah,
which is in
Paris.
Paris. I think it's in July. I don't know. I haven't kept up with that event. If that's still when they do it,
Yeah.
or if they've resumed that following the pandemic. But yeah, they've done a lot of cool stuff there too.
Yeah, that's another big one. A lot of the
So-
Pokemon developers go to,
Yeah, Mr.
Japan.
Aonuma went to that also.
That's
That's where they had that
right, yeah.
incredible artwork where he was in it.
That was right. He was in the artwork.
It was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. And they did like a whole thing with who was it?
You don't have a clue what you're talking about right now.
Takahashi and what's his face?
Koizumi.
Koizumi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Getting shaky here. We better move on. The Mario movie has made $1 billion.
Oh boy,
The news for this is that we were correct.
we were right.
Yes.
We were right. We have a video to prove it.
We got the receipts.
We have the receipt.
We have
Check
multiple.
the
We have
tape,
multiple
people.
receipts. Actually, there's multiple podcasts where we said this. It has
Yes.
now opened in Japan. It is Golden Week in Japan.
People are out and about.
So happy Golden Week
Yes.
to our great Japanese listeners. Seems to be going well. I mean, there's only at this
Yeah.
point been the first weekend. People were saying like they have these special themed theaters. Have you seen this?
I have seen the photos of
Looks
the
neat.
themed theaters. They look fantastic. The carpet is like Rainbow Road, and they have all sorts of cool graphics up. I also saw that they did a really fun drone show. It was like instead of doing fireworks.
Is
shows
that like what
nowadays,
they were doing in
drone
LA?
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they did that in Japan to celebrate the Mario movie
Okay.
opening. So they did a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah.
Like it was on every billboard I think, there, and I'm sure that the opening was huge in Japan. So yeah, it's past 1 billion, and it's really awesome.
I told you that would happen.
Master Sword down. Everything's fine.
Leave it. Just leave it.
Everything's fine.
For our audio listeners, something fell down on the set. The other interesting thing that they have been doing is these Japanese language screenings in the US, which you don't usually see.
Right.
They're very clearly in the mode of like, how else can we squeeze
Just
some money
more,
out of this movie?
Yeah, more rewatches out of this movie.
Right. I was looking very closely at where they were doing these. It seemed very, like primarily the West Coast.
Okay.
There was like a handful of like New York-ish locations. I think there were maybe like a dozen cities where they were doing this. It's a neat idea.
It's a really cool idea, and I heard that the Japanese script was written primarily by like Nintendo, the Nintendo side, or something like that. So
it's concerning.
Maybe you can glean some secrets from the Japanese script. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, here's the new story you've added.
Yeah.
Take us through this one.
This was just happening this morning, but a very notable composer, Ryo Nagamatsu, is leaving Nintendo after 17 years. The composer on Link Between Worlds, we were just talking about, Smash Ultimate, Mario Galaxy 2, Mario Kart 8, Link's Awakening, Splatoon 2 and 3. Joined the company in 2006 and is left as of April 30th.
This tweet is hilarious where it ends in parentheses.
I know.
An amicable settlement.
I literally screen grabbed his tweet, which I thought was really funny.
Oh, no.
But he's basically saying he's leaving to work more broader with the industry, which I think is really cool.
Did we ever meet him?
I worked with him before on some TGA stuff.
Oh, great.
Yes. So I was really... I was excited. I mean, that's cool that, he's very talented, clearly.
Right.
So if he can bring some of that talent to other game series or just broader in the gaming industry overall, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's
but
always,
yes, it's in parentheses is an amicable settlement.
Always surprising when somebody leaves Nintendo after a long time.
That's
so
true.
yeah, that is notable.
It is, yes.
Finally, have you seen the Twisted Metal
I have not seen this.
teaser trailer?
Have you seen it?
I watched it.
And?
There's something you would definitely like about it.
What is it?
So this is very
Someone
short.
hot?
This is like a minute. Well, so it's got Anthony Mackie, who is the new Captain America, previously the Falcon.
Oh.
It
And?
starts with him in his car putting a burned CD into his shooter car, which plays Len's Steal My Sunshine.
No way.
I kid you not. So maybe you're in on this show based on that detail alone.
I'm already in.
Basically, he just gets in his car and he drives off and the song plays, and that's kind of it.
Huh.
You do see Sweet Tooth, who is the sort of clowny looking guy.
I don't like that guy.
But it's been a long time since there's been a Twisted Metal game. Mm-hmm. I know Sony is trying to leverage these IPs into entertainment. I don't know exactly what the plan is with this one.
Right. Maybe it's just like franchise awareness. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm a little bit baffled. This is going to be on Peacock, which is not doing great. It's out in the end of July.
Yeah. How is anyone else supposed to watch this thing on Peacock? That's my question.
I mean, Anthony Mackie's a pretty good get for them.
He's a really big name.
I don't know what you make. How you make a Twisted Metal TV show? See, like he's driving around in this kind of apocalyptic city.
Okay.
It's got kind of like a Mad Max feel, I guess. Like that. But it seems a little bit on the irreverent side if they're going with that musical choice and making that so front and center.
Got some humor to it, maybe. Yeah, not as hardcore as the game, but.
Did you play Twisted Metal?
I've not played too much of it.
I was more of a Vigilante 8 guy, which was sort of the
competitor.
Competitor. Yeah. I preferred Vigilante 8.
But definitely, it's like when another video game thing becomes like some entertainment thing,
right?
With a major actor.
I'm not sure this one's going to have a happy ending, though.
Might not, but it is like the thing du jour that people are, that video game companies are doing, right? Right. Okay.
Let's get into our questions.
I thought you had a panic moment because your questions all disappeared off of your laptop.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened there.
And then they all came back just in time for you to say that.
Full set meltdown for the Kit and Krista podcast.
Oh, no.
It's back, though. First question. We get every question from our Patreon subscribers. This one is from Orange Jinjo. The recent discussion about the Zelda Symphony reminded me of a Zelda-themed escape room that I went to in San Francisco around the launch of the Nintendo Switch and Breath of the Wild. People were placed in groups to solve puzzles and do other activities, which required visiting characters at themed locations set up in the venue. The groups that escaped by the end of the hour could play a demo of Breath of the Wild. It was in February, so the game hadn't been released yet. Unfortunately, my group didn't solve the final puzzle in time, but it was really fun nonetheless. Kit and Krysta, were either of you involved in this? How did it come to be? And do you have any stories to tell about it?
Is that why you wore this
That's
today?
why I'm wearing this sweatshirt
okay,
today.
audio listeners, Kit is wearing the sweatshirt from the Legend of Zelda Escape Room.
Read what was it called? It was something of the Triforce?
Real escape game, Defenders of the Triforce.
There we go.
Very cool little, we both have this.
Yeah, I love this, the boss key.
The boss key, right on the front.
This is a keeper of a sweatshirt.
It is. Yes, we were definitely involved in this. You were the overall marketing lead for Breath of the Wild. So.
Was I for this?
Well, this is part of the marketing plan.
Oh.
Partnerships.
I remember we went. We did an Nintendo Minute on this.
Did.
Again, I would say you should watch it, but it's gone.
It is gone.
This was really fun, though.
Definitely solved the puzzle in our group.
Did we?
We did.
Okay. Take your word for
our
it.
thumbnail was us pulling out the Master Sword.
Yeah.
It's really fun. But this is one of those things where it's like, yes, that Breath of the Wild had some good marketing, like interesting marketing beats. And this was one of them. We were trying to make this game a thing back in 2017 or whatever. So that's why there was more,
This was by our kind of partnerships team who works on stuff like if you see like a Mario on a Go-Gurt, like that's often what they're working on. And this was a very different kind of project.
This is a very different one, yeah.
And I think that team worked closely with, the dev team to make it feel in theme with the games.
I remember it was like a huge, just an achievement for them to get the dev team on board with something like this. Anytime you want to bring the game into real life is a real challenge. On the marketing side, that's always whenever someone has an idea like that, it's like, oh, that's a lot of work. Yeah. And this was definitely a lot of work, but it was really cool that the development team was really open to something like this. And I remember I'm still very good friends with the head of the marketing partnerships team, and he was so excited when this came to fruition. And they worked really closely to actually write and do all of the puzzles. With the dev team, so that was all approved by the Breath of the Wild developers.
This toured more cities than it wasn't just in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, it kicked off in San Francisco. I remember we did an event. We filmed a video there. That was sort of our big press event as well. We had lots of media and other creators that we invited there. It was a really fun time. And then it toured all around the country for the 2 months or something leading up to the launch.
We should bring this back. This was a good idea.
This was a great idea.
This was really fun.
And it's one of those games that translates really perfectly to an escape room game. Yeah. So fun. I love that event.
Caleb asks, hello, thank you for sharing so many great insights so far. I was curious how the preview events for content creators begin. Was that Treehouse, marketing, or someone else, or a combination of divisions? I have found it a great way to disseminate information to many different audiences all at once, but just wondered where this originated. Thanks. Yeah, when Nintendo did this last round of Tears of the Kingdom previews, I was really surprised at how many content creators they brought in, which is great.
They did, yeah, that's awesome. But I think the sort of the preview events were under the purview of the communications team, which is the team that you and I were both on. And we started out doing these preview events strictly for more traditional games media.
Right.
And they were very pretty straightforward. You would just bring them the game early and they'd play it and write a story about it. Mm-hmm. But then, with the sort of the popularity of content creators and how people are consuming news and the need for it to be video content, that's when the preview events really became what you see now, where we would do a lot of work to make the event space look really cool. I think I saw some pictures that the big Link statue was there, the big backdrop was there, so it's more conducive to content creators to come in and create actual videos from it. And then, of course, you still get to play the game, but I think Nintendo started to see the importance of how people were consuming information, and it was not just on traditional, gaming sites and also with creators that they follow. And that was a big part of the creator program that I was working on, that I was running, was how to get all of our really awesome content creators this level of access so they can create stuff for their channel and for their audience. And so I'm glad to see that that is continuing on.
Yeah, and these are really valuable for content creators because unlike media, they don't get the game early. Like they get it when the game comes out. Yeah. So this is sort of their chance to do something before anybody else. And it's a great perk of being in that program.
Yeah, for sure.
Nick C122 has a question. Hi, Kit and Krysta. Just got this book in the mail today after backing it on Kickstarter just over 2 years ago and was curious if you've heard of it, as it's in your domain of, quote, former Nintendo employees sharing insider stories. It's Game Master classified by Matthew Taranto of Brawl in the Family and Waluigi Sings Popular Songs fame, and the one and only Howard Phillips. I'm eager to dive into it as it covers an era of Nintendo history just before I was born. I ordered this weekend.
You did?
I did.
Awesome. I've heard of it, but I haven't ordered it yet. I didn't know it was out. I did see the Kickstarter, but I wasn't sure when the book was coming out.
I'm surprised this is not available through other means.
Yeah.
The Kickstarter has finished. I ordered it through some site that kind of aggregates Kickstarters.
Okay.
I'd never heard of it before.
They don't have it like on Amazon?
Hopefully they're not leaking my credit card information.
Uh-oh.
But this book seems to be in the format of like an old Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
Which looks really fun. I think there's like little like sidebars of other people in the community.
Yeah.
Like the guy who does the art of Nintendo Power, which is a Twitter channel I love.
Yeah.
We should have him on as a guest.
We really should.
I would love to do that.
That would be really cool.
So it's kind of part Howard sharing his stories and also just kind of celebrating, Nintendo fandom as well.
Yeah.
We'll see what else we can do about it once I get it and once I read it. But it looks
be fun.
super, super interesting. And
yeah.
I've seen Howard Phillips is on social media. He is, I don't know if he's becoming more active to try and promote the book or if he's just going to be active overall.
Yeah.
I've never spoken to Howard Phillips. I would love to speak to him. Again,
on the show,
he would be an incredible guest.
I'd love to have you. Yeah, I love this because it does capture like time, a history of Nintendo before I was around.
Right.
Or like when I was very small. So it would be great to look back on that. Like we have like our time stamp of Nintendo from when we were there, and Howard is like covering like the times before that. So it's kind of interesting.
We talked about this when we did the video of the top 10 moments from classic Nintendo Power, but Howard Phillips looked like he was living like a James Bond life.
He really was.
Where he was like, I just played these new set of games that came in that aren't announced yet, and now I'm jetting off to England, or now I'm with the new kids on the block because they want to do it. It's like, oh my God, Howard Phillips, like I want to be.
I want your life, Howard. Yeah, he was like living he was living it.
Women want him, men want to be him, or vice versa. However you'd like to do it.
Martini shaken or stirred.
He always had the bow tie too.
The bow tie.
And I love how this is like matching the Nintendo
look,
Power.
Yeah.
It's not claymation though. If they'd done claymation, I would have
claymation
given it an even higher mark.
You need that like weird looking Mario.
Yeah, I'm eagerly awaiting this to show up. Sososa, hopefully that's right, says, hey Kit and Krysta, Kit, I heard on the recent Advance Wars stream that you used the Nintendo vouchers to purchase Tears of the Kingdom. I was surprised because I just assumed you guys would buy your games physically, especially for larger titles like Zelda, since Nintendo fanatics tend to lean more into the gaming collectability scene. I myself am torn because I want the physical copy, but would also love to snag this digitally for the savings and the ability to play it as soon as it becomes available. What are your opinions on physical versus digital? Do you sometimes buy both versions of the same game so you have one for physical and one to access at all times? Thanks, and I love the podcast. Yes, I got into the world of vouchers, the zany world of vouchers.
You saved $10.
I saved $30.
On Zelda?
Let me explain. So the voucher, you spend $100, you get 2 games for $100. Advance Wars, $60, I saved $10 there. And I'm going to get Zelda, $70, save $20 there. So
$30. That's a good savings.
It is.
Well done.
These are games I honestly would prefer to have physical, but it's kind of the nature of what we're doing. Like, if we're doing like the moment it becomes available stream of Advance Wars,
you have to do
I have to buy it digital.
Physical, yeah. I'm sorry, digital.
And it's like the same thing. Like we're probably going to stream Tears of the Kingdom Friday, but I don't want to fiddle around of like, oh, did the pre-order come in, or like, oh,
no, that's gonna be too dicey.
All of that's always dicey.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the shipment was delayed. I'm not getting it till Monday. Right. It's like I just need to have it.
Yeah.
So
digital.
That game I might buy it both ways.
Actually, if you saved $20, you
reinvest it.
Reinvest it into a physical copy.
Reinvested by buying the same game again.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm going all digital from now on, unless there's a collector's edition that I want and love, or it's like an old game that I just really want to have, like Street Fighter 2 on SNES.
Sealed copy of Devil's Third? Is that what you want? Would you like to pay me $10,000 for that? Oh.
I don't want that.
All right.
But yeah, I'm only doing digital from now on. I can't be bothered with physical versions. I don't need to collect it. It's just plastic.
Feel lucky she's buying the game at all, Nintendo.
It's just plastic, people.
Tuskoob. Hey, Kit and Krysta, which game that's released since leaving Nintendo do you most wish you would have had the chance to work on? Conversely, which release since the departure are you most glad you didn't have to work on in any way? Thank you for your time and insight. For me, this is Tears of the Kingdom both ways.
Oh, because you would have been frustrated because they wouldn't have let you do anything?
Well, so, after finishing on Breath of the Wild, like I had a great relationship with that team and had kind of been through, the ringer with them. Mm-hmm. And like I would have enjoyed having those conversations with them about the marketing for this game.
Yeah.
Because like I definitely am curious like what they're thinking about the limited scope of it and how they're defining spoilers and just getting a feel for that. But also like if there's something, we think we could do to, advance the game's cause in our market, like let's not hold back. Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, they've always been really open to that type of conversation.
And even if you don't, quote, get your way, like at least you are very clearly stating to them, like, we think we need to do this in this market. You can decide.
Yeah.
But I think you should know.
Yeah.
So I would have enjoyed that, and that would have been fun to really understand. Again, we don't know what their vision is for this game at all because they have not said
anything.
They've not been allowed to say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
On the flip side, like the stuff that's happening today with the game leaking. Thank you, no thank you. I want nothing to do with that.
Game leaking, some of the issues with like the mod stuff would have been really, really tough for you.
That drama.
You would have been so frustrated by that because you would have been able to see.
Yeah, or like beat 'em ups, getting that system early. Yeah. Like no thank you on any of that.
You would have. The thing with that's going to be really hard is that you would have been able to really like understand from the point of the creators and the community, and Nintendo would have had such a hard line on how to like. Basically clamp down on it, and it would have been frustrating.
I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. Gosh, I don't really.
No and no.
Just no.
Just no.
Just no all around. I you know what? I'm gonna zag. I'm gonna say that what I wish I could have worked on is the Mario movie. Because I was getting really close with our strategic initiatives team. I was doing a lot of work with that team, and that relationship was. And the work that I was doing there was different than working on launching a game that I've done it for a million games for so long that it's getting a little boring, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciated the sort of the different kind of work that I was doing with some of these other entertainment things. So I think I would have loved working on either promoting the Mario movie or even the Universal parks.
Yeah.
Doing marketing for that, and then of course that would mean getting a chance to work very closely with Mr. Miyamoto, which would have been amazing. Could have had more hamburgers.
Getting the credits?
No, I don't need to get in the credits, but that would have been really different and fun to market a movie. That's something I've never done before, so that would be cool. You know what? All the games, I don't need to work on them, honestly. Like we talk about this sometimes, but we were on like a treadmill with launching these games, and it became such a drag. It made it so you didn't even want to play the game anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
But like I'm so glad I didn't work on Advance Wars. No thank you. But just it just becomes very formulaic launching these games, and you feel like why bother with any marketing because
didn't producer Stephanie work on Advance Wars?
She did. She was so happy when it finally came out. She was like, finally. Yeah, but games, I'm glad I'm on this side.
All right.
Yeah.
Zroid asks, be honest, what are your positions, no pun intended, on the blue shell in Mario Kart? Is that element of chaos just part of the fun, or is it a detriment to your enjoyment of the game? How would you change the way it works, if at all?
I don't mind the blue shell because I feel like I've accepted it after all the years of Mario Kart. The one change I would make is make the explode radius just a tiny bit smaller.
Oh, smaller.
Because then the people that were in like 2 and 3 or 4.
You don't like getting them too? Get them all.
No, I don't want to be like a collateral damage.
Why?
Okay, let's say the number 1 person gets blue shelled, but I'm not the number 1 person. I'm like the number 3 person.
Right.
But I also get blasted by the
Well,
big...
you should see it coming and get around it. Or slow down or...
I know, but I just don't... I think it's not fair because it's not intended for me. It was intended for the person in first place.
It's intended to make a big mess.
It's intended for the person in first place. Leader shell.
I like the blue shell. I really like how they added the horn, so there's a way to get out of it.
That's true.
A skill-based way. I would say if there's some other way, and this could be really hard to do, like a way to get out of the shell that did not require the horn, like a skill-based way, that would be cool. Where it's like you have a split second to get out of it. That could be neat. That most people probably couldn't do or wouldn't like even bother with. Like,
you can't do it
I'm gonna get it. There are some people who can do that in Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
But it's
really chancy. It's not consistent.
And it's not something like they put in the game to be like that.
Yeah, it's
like snaking in Mario Kart DS.
Yeah,
They broke the game.
Snaking really infuriated people at Nintendo. Really was bad.
You can't do that.
Stop it. You're cheating. It's worse than the ROM hacks.
Wario Tush, my favorite name ever, asks, as Tears of the Kingdom draws near, I can't help but wonder what, if any, accessibility features it will come with. Nintendo track record in that realm, especially compared to other AAA studios, is frankly inexcusable. It's difficult to believe they aren't aware of what other companies are offering. Do they simply just not find it important, or is there, if other companies are doing it, we shouldn't be attitude really all-encompassing? I really wish a journalist with access to Nintendo's upper management would hold their feet to the fire on this topic. I can already imagine the news articles about this the week after it comes out.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's going to be a lot there.
I don't think there is going to be a lot there at all. And yeah, they have been really behind the times on accessibility. And that was a very huge point of frustration for us working there because we would bring it up a lot. And whenever, Microsoft would make some really cool stride in the field of accessibility, we would kind of hold it up as an example. But I always thought that it was really disappointing that the interest in this is so low at Nintendo.
Especially now, like every first-party Sony and Microsoft game has just extensive
it's awesome
stuff in this category. And also,
God of War.
Even Resident Evil 4
yes,
has tons and tons. So like there's a Japanese game that gets it.
Right, yeah.
The one thing Nintendo...
I think Elden Ring even had some really good accessibility features as well.
The one thing Nintendo does seem to do with is like the color changing stuff. Like they seem to have that more consistently as an option, but...
But that's not really... That's like such a... like a low bar way to,
I mean, I would say, I would agree that somebody should ask, but like, I'm sure they have just like a non-answer that they would put out there.
They would definitely put out a non-answer.
We're evaluating our options for the yada, yada, yada.
All players are very important to us. We hope that
we respect the differences in our player community.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's all I'm going to say.
Is it like literally, is that better or worse? I think it's worse because you know that they don't care.
But people should point this out and again, we don't know, so we're guessing.
Yeah.
People should, if it's not good, people should make it known.
I would not hold your breath for good accessibility features, though.
We're ending on a feel-good question from Prince Charles.
Oh, I think this is so cute!
Hello, Kit and Krysta. Which of the following puppies would you like to be your pet?
No, I can't choose.
So, who do we have here?
Options are the doggy from the new Pikmin 4 games.
What is the name of that? Does that have a name?
It's a Japanese name.
Somebody has a name. I can't remember.
It's a name that I can't... Look it up.
We forget.
Look it up.
Keep going, please.
There is Poochie.
Yeah.
Wooly Poochie from Yoshi's... Wooly?
Wooly?
Wooly Poochie from Yoshi's Woolly World. So cute. I actually
Yeah.
have a Poochie around here somewhere. Where'd it go? Where did Poochie go?
Owachi. Oh, but it's
Owachi.
pronounced Ochi.
Oh, sorry. Ochi
It's either Ochi or Owachi.
Okay,
don't
that's
know.
the Pikmin 4
Yeah.
doggy. There is Polter
Pup.
Pup and Duck Hunt Dog.
If you get the Duck Hunt dog, you also get the duck.
Yes. Oh, I like the duck. The duck is real cute
That's,
too.
that's appealing.
I like ducks.
Okay.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna choose Polter Pup. Guess the reason why.
No messes to clean up?
No.
What?
Can't die. Already dead.
Okay.
Live with me forever. Right?
What about the Duck Hunt dog or the Duck Hunt duck where you're literally trying to shoot it?
I don't want to shoot the duck.
I'm choosing the Duck Hunt dog and duck. I want to rehabilitate these two. It's also the one dog that has a nose, which I like. The other three don't really have a nose.
That's a very interesting observation.
Aesthetically a bit strange.
Polter Pup has a nose. You just can't see it because he's white.
Yeah.
I can still hug Polter Pup, but it's not like I'd go through him,
Absolutely
right?
cannot.
No cuddles?
Polter.
But Luigi hugs him.
We'll need to go to the videotape. But you made your choice.
Polter Pup. Even if I can't.
Apologies to Owachi/Ochi and Poochie.
I do love Poochie. But the thought of losing Poochie to old age is making me not want to pick him.
I like ducks a lot. I just want to put that out there. I like ducks. This is actually. Why does it have like a pink head? It's like a.
It's not. It's a mallard.
What are those birds called? Like buzzards or
vultures?
that eat so vulture like eats carrion. You know, that's kind of the vibe you get from the duck hunt.
That's not
duck.
how it's supposed to look.
I
They have
know.
a green head.
Ducks
Have green. Male ducks have green.
I
heads.
really like ducks.
I like ducks too.
Yeah.
Do you like ducklings? They're really
Yeah.
cute.
Beautiful creatures. Ducks.
I also like eating them. They're really good.
They taste really
They taste
good too.
delicious.
Yeah.
Have you
So,
ever had a bowl of duck noodle soup?
I can have it both ways.
It is fantastic, you guys. All right. We need to shout out our
Moving on.
superstars because they're wonderful. Here we go. Aaron Hash,
Ben Eichhorn.
Maru Mayhem,
Eigenverse.
Kiss My Flapjack,
Mike Chin.
Mr. Rogers,
Roy Eschke.
Switching It Up, _
Safazon.
The Shark Among Men,
VGM Life.
Link, the Hero of Winds,
Angela Bycroft and Pig Molly.
Turbocharged Nerd,
Thomas O'Rourke.
Kyle LaBeouf,
Twin Dragon 76.
Christopher Lara. Woohoo!
We got a live look at Molly when we were doing
did.
our meetup this weekend.
Angela Bycroft lives in a fantasy land in New Zealand. Her house is so cool. And we had a Molly cam,
We did.
and it was the most wonderful part of my day. It was
wonderful.
great. We love Molly. All right, One Up Club graduation ceremony, A. Ron Burgundy,
Adam and Ansley.
Ajan Malari,
Ale Alejandro.
Alexandra Pratt,
Andrew Uhas.
Astrodev,
Blazed and Enthused.
Bookham Dano,
Brad SF56.
Brooke Obscura,
Brookie Kazooie.
Brewstash,
Chancellor Fairley.
Chelly Squirrel,
Christopher Lay.
Cozy Tar,
Captain Alex.
C. Roper 17,
Daniel Cole.
Daniel Phillips,
Daniel Valencia.
Dachshund,
Desert Colt 18.
Doodoo Face,
Dulce.
Dino Punch,
Elite Peach.
Sparts 50,
Fart Priest 69.
Furbound,
Fernie and Jess Forever.
Fox Play,
Fred Rossi.
Frederick Ulf Condritson,
Garrett Hallfish.
Garth the Wolf,
Gartooth.
G-Sun 101,
Ian Shea.
Iris Marin,
Israel. Izzy.
Jay Rando,
Jabroni Jones.
JK99,
JBJ.
Jeffrey Hernandez,
Jerry 92602.
Jesse Hernandez,
John Responte.
Jonathan Rowe,
Jordan Collette.
Jordan Hammerly,
Joseph DeHaze.
Joshua Clements,
Juji Fruit.
Just Camtro,
Justin Lemminger.
KK,
Kawa 2796.
Kelp Shake,
Kevin Delane.
Chris Yu,
Chris Cerati Kid.
Christopia Party With Me,
Kyle Gamer Berry Rookie.
Kyle Kretzer,
Kyler Nelson.
Linnell Stickman,
Lemma.
Lil Sebastian,
Lit.
Mad Dog 5981,
Marky Man 64.
Mecha Dragon 101,
Megan.
Michael Cravens,
Michael White.
Mickey Conway,
Mikey.
Motomania,
Mr. Andy Pong.
MSN Poke Gamer,
Mr. Beans and Dip.
Mytran,
Nasir.
Nathan Burkhart,
Panda.
Panda Buns,
Palsy Pace.
Paul Gale Network,
Prime Factor.
Prince Charmless,
Reaver.
Raintech,
Ray Charone.
Ryuji Utsuho Okuu,
Renee Rivers.
Rick Alvarado,
Ryath 1.
RJ Kern,
Rob Osborne.
Rox.
Rianetta.
Sam Nealon.
Sharif Jackson.
Shinru.
Slowbro.
Schmiggles.
Shrews.
Silly Ferret.
SJ Sharky 777.
Spicy Munchkin.
Steel Citrone.
Tales of Link.
Tefew.
Terrastorm.
Thomas Alvarez.
Topher Schmofer.
Travis Torline.
Troopage.
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tuscoob.
Tyler Geis.
Tyler and Tracy.
Vesvez.
Video Game Stupid.
Virtual Bot.
Wicked Davy.
Will Ernst.
Will Johnson.
Zudiver.
Zelgaroth.
And Droid.
Wow.
That's a very clean read through.
Oh, it's a clean read-through, except for the Swedish person.
We should speed run this now that we really got it.
No, it's not good.
Next time we should speed run it.
How do you pronounce the middle part of Frederick's name?
Huh?
Frederick Ulf?
Frederick Ulf Conradson.
You should just
Frederick
do
is my middle name. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
All right, you should do that from now on because it's your people's. It's your people's. All right. That is a podcast.
That's an
in
episode.
The books. Don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon to support this here podcast and everything we do on this channel. We are on patreon.com/Kit and Krysta.
If you are watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment. If you're listening on audio, you can also subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and also leave a written review.
And don't forget to follow us on the socials. We are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And that's it.
Sure is.
All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.